Welcome to day one of Polished Professionalism. We kick off our training course with a deep dive into business protocol. You will hear me use the words protocol and etiquette almost interchangeably, but I'll kick off the course by explaining to you the difference between those two words and why you should know them. We will deep dive into mingling proficiency, how to introduce yourself and others. We'll look at executive presence and deconstruct what are the elements that help contribute to a good first impression. So dig in with me. Class starts now. Each of us is coming into this space with different things, different work experiences, life experience, different expectations, and also different levels of experience. Some of you may be at very senior roles right now in your career, and some of you might be towards the beginning. And some of you might also be in this space where you're just, you know internally that you were made for more. Like there's something more that wants to find expression through you. And this is the spirit in which I want to serve you over these next 3 days. Because I know the difference it's made in my life to just understand simple things like there's a protocol for how you get up and enter your seat. Simple things like understanding that there's a protocol for how you give and receive a business card. Things that oftentimes you would take for granted. There are sometimes very real rules about how it's done. So with that, I want to welcome you to day one of Polished Professionalism. I really want this to be interactive, and I want this to really meet you at where you are. So if at any point in the presentations you have questions, just raise your hand. I would be happy to pause and hear you. We will break at 9:30 for coffee, and we will also break at 1:30 for lunch. And in between, if you need to use the washroom, it's just out the door to your left. If people feel like we need a general comfort break, we can just have a general comfort break. But there's so much to cover, so unless you stop me, I will keep going, if that's okay, right? So before we break for coffee, I'd like to go around the room and hear from each of you. I'd like to know 3 things. What's your name? What do you do? And why are you here? All right? Your name, what do you do, and why are you here? If it's okay, we'll start in the back, if that's okay, with Stella.
It usually happens from the front.
Really? Yes.
Relaxing. Yes, I'll be the last person. Good morning, everyone. My name is Stella Mujakar. As someone rightly observed, I'm Nigerian. So I'm a lawyer, and I recently moved to Ghana. I'm working in the container shipping industry. So I work as the regional compliance officer for the whole of Africa. What else? What else is there to say?
Why are you here?
Oh, okay. So like you rightly said, I noticed so I'll give you a story.
Please do.
So I recently went to visit a couple of my colleagues in Germany, and we're eating, and I'm a slow eater. I like to enjoy my food. And I noticed I was getting side looks as in, hurry up, we have to go. And I'm thinking, I'm gonna choke if I eat. And I literally started eating fast, and I started to choke.
Oh dear.
So I just left the remaining food, and they were looking at me and you're not going to finish it? It's a lot, I can't finish. I don't eat a lot of food. So I noticed that there were a bit of differences in culture, and I know the signs, but perhaps I need a little bit more social intelligence. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Welcome. Yes, please.
I help entrepreneurs navigate compliance issues. It's something that most people don't pay attention to. Entrepreneurs, small businesses, small businesses. Why did I come here? I follow you along with you, and I know that from Ejima, from Toastmasters, from a few other engagements, and that thing with the.
Doing what thing? Come and let's demonstrate what I did. How many of you saw that LinkedIn post? One of the most embarrassing one of the most embarrassing social situations that I've been engaged in is when I had the great honor of meeting a head of state and shaking their hand in greeting and doing the Ghanaian finger snap. Now, in Ghana, this is relevant. This is cool. Nobody really says anything. And I remember the number of people who came on that post and said, women do this too. You see, I grew up with boys. I grew up speaking pidgin English. I grew up like Chale, I dey go, I dey come, I dey do the thing. You know what's up? Chale. So, you see, which should give you hope that no matter how far you know, like me, this is my made up transformed self. But there's a side of me that loves to roughhouse, loves to joke, loves to play, loves to be physical, you know. And so I share this because that example of me being in a very distinguished place and doing something that's so meaningful to me, but irrelevant in that context. I was the only woman, only black person, only. It's like, yes, we can't take you anywhere. You know what I mean? And so I shared that, and I didn't know. I mean, it's one of my most. It resonated with so many people. Like, that post has had probably 45,000 impressions, over 2,000 likes and comments and interactions, and lots of private messages. People telling me that, yeah, what? So you're out here finger snapping presidents, you know. But it comes to tell me that this body of knowledge is so needed. Like, maybe it's not as dramatic as what I did. I mean, I'm the one who eats someone else's bread, drinks in someone else's glass, because I didn't know that all of the things on the table were telling a message. So I share this because, look, this is not about, you know, posing, making you a version of yourself that's arrogant and proud. This is a version of yourself that just can be relevant in more spaces. And that's why they call it unspoken rules. Because the purpose of this stuff isn't that, don't you know this is not how you do it? Go around, you know, oppressing people with what you've come to know. That's not the purpose of today either. The purpose is so that you know the right thing, and hopefully that you'll just start doing the right thing. That situation delivered me from that. I just don't even do that anymore. Because in order for what we're going to learn over these next 3 days to be relevant and helpful to you, I'm going to encourage you to consider, you know, record and recreate this as often as you can. So, for example, at home, you know, I don't know about you, but I cook my meals. And sometimes I don't even make it to the dining table. I'm standing over okay, so we can be real, right? Sometimes the food does not even leave the pot it was cooked in. I'm like, exactly, we don't want more dishes, you know. So I really want to encourage you, like, this body of knowledge can be life transforming. Oh, thank you. Hi. You're ready for coffee? Okay, we'll be there in a few minutes. Thank you so much. Yes, please. Yeah. So we've heard from 2 people. Let's go over here. Yes.
So hi everyone, my name is Eileen. I'm a chartered accountant and a tax practitioner. Currently heading one firm on architectural practice and providing insights over African projects. So why am I here? I think I had Yawa talk at an event and she mentioned polished professionalism. I was like, I haven't heard this before. You know, and then also with in addition to what Adra said, the LinkedIn post, and I was like, listen, I know there's more with just only, you know, focusing on your professional career and all that. There's something more that I need to know, you know, as I prepare for the next level of your progression, whether it's C-suites, you know, whether board roles, all these come into play. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, excellent. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
So my name is Sia. I'm a poultry farmer. I'm a bit emotional, but there's two sides of me. One side is peace.
You want to sit?
Yeah.
Sure.
And there's two sides of me. One side is winning and it's always out there. The other side is no. After I win, and I get a congratulatory message. I mean, people get to me and sometimes it gets at me, so it just pushes me down. Just as Yawa says, you are too known, you are this, you are that. So I have a husband who wants me to be there, but sometimes his words gets me down. I have some bosses who they're happy when they see me win, but after the win, the real me comes home and you try to exit a bit of those wins at home and you're like, you are too known, you are this. Like, yeah, sometimes it really pushes me down. And the balance, I'm here because of the balance. Because the other voice inside me wants to be there, wants to see things done. And the other voice also shuts me down, as in, you have to respect. My husband is a Twitter Ashanti, I funny the mommy. So he said a statement yesterday and I had to make him apologize in the presence of my kids. And he was shocked. Like, the last thing he said before he left was, oh my dear. And it was the right thing to do. I mean, if it didn't go down well, I mean, it should be said. It shouldn't, yeah, so I'm trying to find myself and when Yawa speaks, she speaks on Thursdays or Sundays. When I listen to her, I'm like, like I have the energy back, the zeal back and everything, but it lasts for like 5 hours. And I'm back home and like you have to tell. Yeah, so it confuses me. It puts me in it shelves me. I want to be out like a flower and everything. Yeah, so I don't know whether it's personality tapping to this or that was not true, but yeah, I want to marry and the man wants to shut you down and always you follow his itinerary. Meanwhile, I'm a CEO. I have stuff. I have customers waiting, I have workers waiting, I have fine. But yours is not a priority and he thinks like you have to go with mine. He travels and he's gone. Just figure things out. He comes and he's back, figure things out. I'm confused. Yeah, there's a lot I have to unearth in me, but I'm limited. Yeah.
So you're here to break out of your shell and to craft a new version of you. Thank you.
Of leaving the other side.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. All right, we'll come over here.
My turn. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Business, but this great woman, I'll save that for another time. So I'm a healthcare practitioner, and my business doesn't concern me, but last year I discovered her voice on it wasn't a social media, there was some interview she was doing. I can't remember now, pardon my age. And I'm like, that voice. For me, it was the voice that caught my attention. So I started searching. Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? And the more I looked, my mind get, soaked, blown up, because every piece. Recently, she was on Gifty Auntie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta now go forward. I gotta now find her, and it's been a journey that I want more. So today I decided to find out what does professionalism looks like when it's polished. That's why I'm here. And I'm also trying to recreate myself because I'm turning at the top of my retirement side, Don't let my voice deceive you. But I want to merge it.
Okay.
Because all my career I've been go. Target, finishing. I wanna slow down, but I don't wanna slow down. So I'm recreating That my new self. That my new self. So that's why I'm sitting here with all you business people. I'm Evelyn, by the way. Evelyn by me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Evelyn. Yes, please.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I have to stand, I guess. My name is Jipa Duche. I'm a chartered people management expert. So currently with a tech company. And the reason why I'm here, being in the people management space, I think I know more than most people that as you rise, it's less about what you know, and it's more about how you relate, how you engage, and all of that. A little more about what you say. So some of the decisions about promotions are made at the dinner table, are made at the engagement, are made at other places. So, and there are not many people who actually take their time to teach this stuff. In meeting Yawa, Yawa has been so vulnerable, so open. She even offered, do you want to go to the Protocol School of Washington? I'm like, I want to look at the cost, and okay. I look at my family situation, I'm like, I'm not too sure I can move to Washington anytime soon.
Yeah.
And so she's offering this, and I think it's a great privilege. It's very unique. I don't know where you're going to get this anywhere else. I'm so surprised we have such a small room, and where are the rest of the people, right? This is really needed, and I'm even looking forward to how can we bring this to the workplace more, especially for C-suite and people who are, meeting other people across regions and all of that. So that's why I'm here. So it's a great privilege. Really nice meeting all of you. Love to connect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to have you. Yeah. So typically this type of training, companies hire me to just come do it. But every year I try to do one open enrollment one for people who, their company might not pay for, or who are entrepreneurs or things like that and want to bring themselves, because it's so helpful. And like I said, a lot of these rules are unspoken. And so it's the aha moments that really make me excited about teaching this. All right.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Marian Yabe, or Mrs. Tengi. I've been mentored by you all for a couple of years. I'm part of the Elevate community. I'm a corporate communication professional at an oil and gas firm. I practice as a marketing manager. I work as business development manager. And currently I'm getting ready to go back to academia. In a different environment altogether, in more space. And I needed that polish, not only for the steps I'm about to take, but also for my career in the long term. And who better to learn from than my coach, who's already shown over the years. I think this will be probably our 8th year I've known. Because I was at the Senchi
Strategy retreat.
And I've seen her grow, in fact, transform. So obviously, whatever she's teaching works. Okay, follow who knows road, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here to grow, to develop, and also to reinvent myself as a beautiful coach has, and also to connect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Yes. Latest edition, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nancy Baba Edo, and I'm a nurse, a registered nurse, and also a makeup artist. I really do makeup. And I've never said it to her, but I admire her a lot. I like her strength, her boldness. I can tell that she has a lot. So today after her makeup, I pleaded with her. I want to sit.
Smart girl.
Yeah. You can't see this face and say no, right? So you're welcome. I'm so glad to have you all here. So maybe before we get into the thick of our presentation today, I'll just walk you through what we're going to cover, and then we'll have our coffee, warm our bodies up, get to chat over our meals. Today we're going to be focused on business etiquette. It's also called business protocol. I'll walk you through why we use protocol and when we say or use the word etiquette. But I'm going walk you through the benefits of protocol intelligence, understanding when you're in spaces how to put your best foot forward. Research says that it takes people between 5 to 7 seconds to make a first impression about you. And so for those who don't know me, you're making impressions about me now, based on how I'm dressed, based on how I'm speaking, based on my facial expressions. And I bet you, when someone opens a door and walks into a space, we do it subconsciously, whether we think about it or not. Because I'm sure you've met some people, like they walk through a space and you're like, who's this? And then you've also seen some people and you're like, who's this? Same words, different vibe. Because oftentimes, those that you think favorably about are doing some of the things that I'll be talking to you about today. So we're going to be looking at executive presence. What does it mean? How do we make sure that that first 5 to 7 seconds you're perceived positively? I'll walk you through how to distinguish yourself from the competition. You know, the business world is very, very competitive. And even if you're at retirement, as Evelyn was saying she is, you can and should be always thinking about how to differentiate yourself from every other retiree. How can you, in how you present yourself, put your best foot forward. We'll look at entrances. We're a small enough group that I can make everyone leave and come in, and we will rate your entrances. Because from henceforth, now and forevermore, I want to make sure that anytime you show up in a space, you don't get the second one, like, who's this? You get the, wow, who's that girl? Hey, you people, I thought you were saved. All right, so we want to make sure we talk about entrances, then we'll talk about mingling. A lot of us don't know how to small talk or mingle, especially when we go to places and spaces where we're not attached at the hip to someone who brought us. We find a corner and we stand there. How many of us are guilty of that? Yeah. So mingling is such an important strategy for your professional development. So we're going to talk about it, and then we'll look at how do you become a better mingler? Because the truth is, small talk leads to big talk. So that you have to master small talk, all right? Then we'll walk you through greetings, forms of address. So protocols are based on orders of precedence, and forms of address are important. So we'll look at greetings and introductions. Under greetings, I will talk to you about handshakes, which is one of the most common forms of greetings in the public, in the professional space. So I really want you to be prepared with that. And then we'll end with networking tips. Okay, so this is what our day will look like. So we'll break now. We'll head to Alalun restaurant, which is just across the way, and have some coffee, some tea, and some good conversation. I will be looking at how you do it. I am in teacher mode today. So when I come back here and I'm debriefing and say I saw somebody do this or that, it's nothing but love, okay? It is nothing but love. All right, so we're gonna take 30 minutes for our coffee break, so we can walk out to Alalun and have coffee and return at 5:30. Okay, thank you. Yes, your items are safe here if you want to leave them. Don't feel compelled. Afternoon, good evening, as the case may be, right? But if you go to the streets of New York, they will think you're crazy because it's not really their etiquette. So I want you to leave today understanding when to apply what etiquettes and protocols, okay? I also want you to be able to successfully introduce yourself and others. There are such nuanced protocols in how you greet that it's one of the easiest ways to differentiate yourself. Oftentimes, the way you introduce yourself and introduce other people tells people who know that this person knows what's up, right? So etiquette and protocol are based on what we call orders of precedence. And if you've ever been to a formal event, even here in Ghana, you might have heard them say things like, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, honorable ministers of state, etc. Oh, my microphone. All right, thank you. So, a lot of the rules of etiquette and protocol are based on what we call orders of precedence. And so, in Ghana, you might have gone to a formal event where there's a laundry list of people that are being acknowledged. It's protocol to acknowledge people based on their rank and status. So, that's essentially what orders of precedence talks about. So, if you've ever gone to an event and they say things like, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, honorable ministers of state, Nime, Name, Nananum, because there is a order. So similarly, in your greetings, in your introductions, it follows rules of orders of precedence. And so that's an easy way to distinguish yourself as well from your competition. So you'll leave here, God willing, being able to know how to make proper introductions of yourself and others. And then lastly, I want you to be able to establish relationship. Business rises and falls on relationship. Those who are good at relationship often go far. I don't know about you, but I've been in workplaces where a lot of the people who are in that office aren't necessarily technically competent, but they've got lots of favor, lots of opportunity coming their way, and you'll be tempted to think that this person is a witch or a wizard. This person has put a spell on the boss. And it's often because they understand how to build relationship. They've got good rapport. They've got good people skills. They come off really well. Early in my career, I got really interesting advice and counsel. You know what the interesting advice and counsel was? Yawa, fix your face. I have had a serious face most of my life. And so my default, and it's not because I was rude or mean, but I was being perceived as rude and mean and arrogant. So, for example, a few weeks ago, we have our cohort of our Standout Women's Leadership Program. And one of the women in the program this year has known me for 12 years. So they went through the polished professionalism too at our retreat. And I was giving this example that, I was told to fix my face. So she raised her hand and says, "It's true. Yeah, well, when I first met you, I said, hey, what is wrong with you? You look so, she was theatrical with it. But I know because I was getting that feedback a lot. People will say things like, you are too known. They will say things like, you present as arrogant. You present as you think you're better than everybody else. And in my heart, good Christian girl, loving everyone, wrapping my loving arms in prayer around the same people who are telling me that I'm arrogant. So a lot of us, we have a perception that doesn't match up with our reality. And part of what I want you to leave here with today is the ability to decipher, is the way that I'm doing the whole posture thing, because oftentimes when people they lack confidence or lack esteem. If you've got low self, you try to overcompensate by being a bit extra, right? Walking too proudly, head too high. And so apparently I was getting the vibe very wrong. So some of you in this room might also be giving the wrong vibe. You think you're being confident, you're being kind, you are being professional, but other people are perceiving it as, you are mean, you are arrogant. When she raised her hand and told the people in the room, when I first met Yawai, I thought she was stuck up. And I asked why. She said, there was just something about the way you carried yourself. And I said, tell us, because to demonstrate what not to do, help the people in the room understand what I was doing. And oftentimes, I wouldn't acknowledge people around me. I am what you might call a cerebral person. I have lots of things going on in my head at all times. So I have enough to keep me busy internally that I do not feel the need to get out of myself and talk about what's happening here. I was a bookworm. And so I finished reading a delicious novel. And the whole day I'm reprocessing the chapters and the characters and imagining. So there is so much entertainment in my head that I do not feel the need to join you in this world. Do I have some witnesses in this room?
Yes.
And some of us, It's maybe not entertaining, maybe it's problematic. You're a serious-minded person. What am I going to do about this issue in my business? What am I going to do about this issue with this? What am I going to do about this husband or this kid or my auntie? Or, so for you, it could be something else, but you're processing. And my processing phase, my eyebrows are furrowed. My mouth is. So imagine I'm walking around, straight posture, but furrowed face, not engaging, right? And so the vibe, the word on the street is that Yawa Hansen-Quao is very stuck up. And the best advice that I received was, Yawa, fix your face. I said, what do you mean? She said, can you tell the rest of your body that you are happy? Because if nothing is wrong, can you tell your face that? And you see why we call these the unspoken rules? Because to say this to someone, it's offensive. And especially if it's said by someone of the opposite sex, it's patriarchy. He's making me feel less than. This is hostility. It can be misconstrued. So oftentimes people will just look and keep going. And then you wonder why they don't promote me. Why have they promoted that character? You wonder why I'm not invited to these spaces, but they are. And then you start praying against the witches and the wizards in your mother's home, witches and wizards in your family home. You make it spiritual, but maybe you're not under spiritual attack. Maybe you're just underdeveloped. That was certainly my issue. So I shared these very personal realities because I've come a long way learning how to let my face remind my face to smile and to show. So I've learned how to smile in between my seriousness. I've learned how to open my eyes more widely. I'm the kind of person whose eyes are so small that when I smile, my eyes get swallowed. So I just had to learn how to be a little more theatrical, to show pleasure to people, because by nature, that's not my default. Are we getting what? So this is not me trying to get you to be someone you're not, but me trying to help you expand the possibilities of people that can engage with you. Because small talk leads to big talk. And if people are so put off by what they see in those first few seconds about you, who knows what you're missing? Who knows the opportunity, the doors that you are shutting to yourself simply by not fixing these things. So that's my last goal for you today, that you will be able to pinpoint where's your area of weakness. I want this to be an environment of trust so that as each of us shares, whatever is shared stays here. I want this to be an environment of trust so that we can give each other frank feedback, right? So that you said, actually, when you walked out and you came in, your entrance, it seemed this way. This is the impact it's having. Because the truth is, there can be no perfection without correction. It's impossible to become perfect at anything without having to correct. You ask any of the best artists, it's like, this is my 139th draft. Ask any architect, there's to get perfection, it's usually a function of series of corrections. So I'm sharing with you some of the things I've had to correct about my seriousness, about the way, because professionalism to me meant buttoned up. It meant serious, stern face. It meant straight walking talk, so I look robotic, kind of robotic and strained in my features. But I've learned how to be a little more easy, a little more inviting with my facial expressions. I've had to learn how to modulate my voice. I grew up in a very interesting environment, and I have a deep voice by nature. So even till today, people talk to me on the phone and say sir because they assume they're speaking to a man until they meet me. And so I've had to kind of think about my entire package, not even just how I enter and exit the room, but how do I put people at ease with my voice, especially since my voice is more bold than most. And so in addition to this body of knowledge, I spent the last 18 years improving my speaking and communication skills. It's involved one-on-one coaching. It's involved Toastmasters. It's involved, most recently, voice coaching. I worked with this, she's what do you call, a musician, a singer based in France. And we sat near to each other on a flight from France back to Accra. And we started talking, and she says, "You have a very nice voice. Can I give you a tip?" And I said, "Oh, who are you?" And she said, "Oh, I actually sing. Let me, I said, "Do you teach this?" And she said, so we came to an agreement. And I took 10 weeks of voice coaching with her as well. And many people are saying, "Yeah, well, you sound sweeter, your voice." So I say all of this to say, I want you to now start thinking about your polished professionalism as the entire you. Someone's breathing out. Tell me what that breath was so pregnant. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what's happening here.
It's almost as if you've grown up learning so many things, walking around the world thinking, "Gosh, I don't know what to do this." And then, you are going around making mistakes and errors. And if you have people who like you, they'll tell you. And people telling you, how do you even accept that feedback? So being able to accept the feedback and say, "Oh, the way I walk is too robotic." Because listening to you, I'm looking at certain things I do that makes me come across as very cool time.
Did you say the technical word is full time?
It was very stuffy. So even though I'm a very bubbly person, they say, "You're trying to help me."
Exactly.
And I'm like,
Exactly.
So I'm grateful.
Good.
I'm relieved that Yawa Hansen-Quao can come down to our level and tell us, use yourself as an example.
Yes.
And I'm also grateful that I'm here.
Yes.
And that I am listening to you. So that's where
the breath. Thank you for explaining that. Because I want you to win. And those who win are those who take advice and counsel and understand that their perfection lies in correction. And it took me a long time to get to this place to say, "Please give me the feedback, even if it's difficult." It took me a long time to say, "Okay, maybe I could fix this." It took me hours of, one of my first one-on-one speech coaches gave me hours of work in front of a mirror. Hours of work every day, just stand in front of the mirror. And that's how I developed my communications trainings, because I said, actually, I've got three hypotheses. One, everyone knows what a good speech looks like. You know it.
Right.
And then two, everyone has a mirror and can self-correct. So number three, if you are committed to finding a model for how you want to speak, and if you continue to speak to yourself, an audience of one, you can self-improve. Because that first coach changed my mind. Like, the coaching helped because it led me to even this personal discovery about mirror practice. But she said, especially for a lot of women, we're wondering in our communication how we're being perceived. Is my makeup okay? Is my hair okay? Is my nose, Hours of mirror practice gave me comfort. This is what my face looks like. This is it. This is what I got. This is what I got. I made peace. This is what my face looks like. Make peace with my style and just get comfortable so that the energy I would put into wondering whether and how I'm being perceived can be put into the message, right? So I tell you, this foundation I want to lay this morning is to encourage you to start thinking of yourself as in the driver's seat of building brand you. So I have been building over the past 18 years, Yawa Hansen-Quao, the brand, the entity. What is the effect I want to have on people? What is it that I want to look like? What is, if I ask people, maybe let's do that now. Give me an adjective to describe me.
Warm.
Describe me. Warm.
Cerebral.
Talented. Bold as well. Courageous.
I said warm.
Warm. Anybody else?
Resilient.
Recently, very fashionable.
Fashionable? Hey, see, my fashion has come a long way. Right? Yes.
I said resilient.
Resilient.
Like through how you present the inner words or the
Right.
inner, like it comes with such a passion, like great tenacity.
Right. Resilient,
Like,
tenacious.
yeah.
All of these are pretty positive words, aren't they? Right? So we want to make sure that you are also architecting your life and your brand, right? And so with the fashion, I hired an image consultant to work with me. I'm like, look, let me just admit, I did not grow up in the spaces that taught me these things naturally. So let me find the people who can help me figure this out. This is my makeup artist. This is the one who, like, I do works of art. Mine, you need tongues to interpret my makeup. But when she does it for me, people are like, on point, on point. So maybe for you, well, who are the other professionals that I need to start bringing into my space? Who are the people who can just tell me what works on my skin tone? That's what the image consultant did for me. You know, she came to my home, bring out all your favorite dresses. Yawa, you must never be seen in this again. You must never, all of the, so I'm slowly rebuilding my wardrobe, right? And then after I cut my hair, I had to get a second consult. Now, how do I dress for this new look, right? So each of us, I share this stuff because this is more than just, so she's going to teach us how to enter and exit a room and sit down. Okay, this is, I want you to have this foundation as now, I'm making a commitment today, July 22nd, 2025. I'm making a commitment today to sit in the driver's seat of architecting brand me. So for me, it's brand Yawa. For you, it's whatever it is, whatever your name is. And what does that mean? What is the effect Yawa has on people? What do I want people to say about me? Many of the words I want people to say, I've heard here, that I'm warm, because I wanted to get rid of this too known tag that had been on me, stuffy, because that's not good for business. I have so much that I carry, but the people who should receive it are like, I don't want to go there. That can't be good for what I'm supposed to provide, what I'm supposed to offer. So each of you as well, as you think about what kind of brand you are architecting, this course may be one of many things that you need. Because yes, I did this course. I went to Protocol School in Washington, paid the thousands of dollars to learn it. But in addition, I realized that this was only part one of the journey. That let me fix my voice, let me fix my image, and I couldn't do it all at once, didn't have all the money, but it meant that I started to ring fence resources for my personal development. That, okay, I could do what these people are doing over there, but they're not going where I'm going. So that means my choices need to look differently. And when you make some of these choices, people will start thinking you're extra. I remember when I paid the money to the image consultant, my husband had a fit. He had a fit. He said, "But why? I like you just the way you are." Have you heard these things before? But why? And oftentimes your nearest and dearest, the call that God has for you isn't a conference call. And so it's just in your ear. You feel like, I got to start acting differently, behaving differently, investing differently, preparing differently. It may alienate you from some of your friends because they're not going where you're going. Don't hate them, respect them, love them, but be prepared. To architect this brand it will come with some conflict. And I'm glad that he's now landed at a place where he's like, yes, more, right? When the international invitations started coming and I could travel with him to some of these speaking engagements, when all of the opportunity, it's been a blessing to my home. But in the beginning, it was tough because it's like, this money we could have, there will always be a could have. And I know a lot of people, you looked at this money we're charging for today's course. You're like, chale. And if you made the mistake to whisper to someone that you were about to spend this money, they would have said, "But why?"
Our husbands, but why?
Yes. And that's why I really like to lay this foundation before we go deep. Because I want you to think about this as a beginning point in curating brand you. What is the impact you want to have on the world? And if what the Bible says is true, I know not everyone may believe the Bible, but if what the Bible says is true, that God looks at the inside, but man looks on the outside, we have to start caring what's on the outside. It took me too long. I'm not really saying new things, but I think it's better received because I look better, if I'm being honest, right? God looks at the heart, but everyone else is looking on the outside, looking at, wow, does this person elicit this pool of attractiveness? Does this person make me want to be in their space? When this person is in the space, what is the vibe they give off? Is it warmth and good things or not? So you can manufacture your own favor. You can put yourself in the way of some of the opportunities. I hope that hit home. You can manufacture your own favor. And some of us are praying, and as a believer, I made that mistake before. That's why I keep going there, not to condemn any of us, but to say that you should be praying, but you should also be watching what you're looking like, watching the impact you're having on people, watching, right? So there's a balance that I feel really compelled to invite you to consider as we get into today's presentation. All right? Any questions, comments? Yeah? Great. So I'm going to be using these two words interchangeably today, protocol and etiquette. They are similar, but they're different. So let me talk to you about the nuance between these two words. When we talk about the word protocol, it refers to some laid down rules, right? Especially when it governs state affairs. So every country usually has a department of state protocol because there are certain laid down norms when it comes to certain behaviors, like how a head of state is received and welcomed. There are protocols similarly for things like how you give and receive a business card. There are protocols for how you introduce yourself and protocols for how you shake hands, right? So some things are protocol, meaning no matter where you go in the world, it will likely be the same. Some things are etiquette. Etiquette varies from place to place. So etiquette can be very regional. It can be very location specific. So we have many cultures that eat with our hands. And there's an etiquette for how you do that, right? That doesn't mean it's bad. Eating with hands is bad, but that's their etiquette. There are some nomadic cultures that greet not with handshake, but with face, they rub their noses together. That looks very intimate, very different than what many of us are accustomed to. There's some kissing cultures. Ghana isn't really the kissing culture type of country. So etiquette and protocol coexist. And so, for example, we call the dining course a course in dining etiquette because it varies from place to place, right? There are some hand-eating cultures. There are some countries that have different ways of eating. And so that's why for dining, it's an etiquette, not a protocol. And the dining etiquette that we will be looking at on day 3 of our Polished Professionalism course, we'll look at American, continental, and Asian dining etiquettes, okay? Why those 3? Because these 3 seem to dominate the world of business, right? But there are other types of dining etiquette. So etiquette can and does vary place to place, can and is varied by culture. Protocols lay down rules and norms that are established. Do we understand the difference? Okay, good. So our goal is to make you be able to know when to apply protocol and etiquette intelligence to whatever situation you're in. So whether you are going for an interview, what is the etiquette? Where do you sit? Do you know there's a protocol for seating? right? So where a person sits, there's a protocol. So I was watching where people chose to sit when we went to have our coffee, our breakfast this morning. And I'll make a few comments about that in a few minutes. But typically, the host, whoever is in charge of the convening, sits at the center of that long form table, right? So usually, if you're invited to something and they say free seating, if you are not the host, you want to avoid the head and the center seats at the table, okay? In very formal dining situations, they may probably have your placeholders with your names and all of that telling you where to sit to avoid these types of faux pas. But as a polished professional, you now know that if you are not really the host of the event, you want to avoid the edges and the centermost seats, right? The other thing I noticed when we had coffee together, I think a lot of you were waiting who should pick the first pastry, who should take it first. And usually in these sit down occasions, the meal begins when the host takes the lead. So a lot of you just waited for me to take the first pastry and then you started, which was good, right? So ideally, you let the host take the lead. Now, ideally, if I had informed you and this was formal and all of that, I would have said, shall we? And then we start. So when we're doing lunch today, I'm gonna we will nominate who will be the host, right? And then we will just practice some of what we're hearing today, even ahead of day 3. Because I want you to win everywhere you go, whether you're at a soiree. If we had a coffee break and we went to fix our coffee individually at a table, I would encourage you henceforth, now and forevermore. You have either a drink or something to bite, never both. If it's a standing event, if we went to the Aladoun restaurant for our breakfast just now, and if instead of a sit-down table, we were invited to prepare, a lot of hotels, conferences are set up that way. You go to your coffee and tea station, and then you prepare for yourself. If that were the case today, and you were standing throughout the experience, the rule of thumb is you have either a drink or something edible. Never both. Some of y'all are laughing because it goes counter to what we believe in Ghana. I've come to this event. I've paid my fees. I've come to experience all the delicacies I never eat at home. How are you sitting on my happiness, telling me that the rule of thumb is if you're standing, your right hand always remains available to shake hands. It's hard to look elegant when, then you do elbow nod, elbow bump or fist bump. So, polished professionals, you're always there to meet, not to eat. You're always there to meet, not to eat. Some of y'all are like, yawa, what are you saying? You are always there to meet, not to eat. And so one hand is always free. So either I've got my drink in my hand or I've got a pastry in my hand. And you always want to pick up whatever it is you are having with a tissue. And so I saw that at the table too, which I thought was really good. People took the tissue and handled their pastry. I don't know if they were copying me or they actually intended to do that. But especially when you're sat at a table that has communal elements, sometimes you'd have a big piece of bread that everyone's cutting a piece of. You always touch communal elements with either a clean utensil or a tissue or your napkin. So if there were no tissues, paper tissues at the table, you take your napkin off your lap and touch anything that's communal. You don't touch communal elements with your bare hands. Okay. Not with a used fork. So if your fork has been in your mouth, that's rude. You don't touch, right? Yes. If you did, right. Right. So But otherwise, I thought you all did really well at breakfast. So round of applause for you all. Excellent job. So our goal here is to understand that if you want to distinguish yourself from the competition. A question?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So during the tea time, I had a call. And I had to excuse myself and come back. I think I left half of the coffee. So what do you say to that? Like coming back to continue that drink? I don't know what you say to that because I know in public I'm not supposed to leave your drink for 10 minutes and come back to it.
It's not a laid down rule of protocol. Actually, it's considered rude to leave a table unless you've informed the host. So, for example, your electronic device, your phone, is considered a personal device. So, anytime you are at a table, it's considered rude to have your personal electronic device on the table. So, you either put it behind you or in a bag under the table. It shouldn't be within view. If you absolutely need to take a call, the etiquette is that you would inform the host ahead of time that I just want to let you know that in 15 minutes I will have to leave the table to take a call. It's unavoidable because it's with my partners who are on a different time zone. I should be back at table within 10 minutes. So if you see me leave the table, it would be because of that. The etiquette also is that whoever is sat to the right or to the left of you, you would just announce, "Excuse me." You won't say, "Excuse me while I pick this call." You won't say, "Excuse me, I gotta use the bathroom." You would just say, "Please excuse me." So you don't announce where you're going, you don't announce what you're doing, you excuse yourself. And the etiquette is you give the host prior knowledge. If you couldn't give them prior knowledge, your first point of call would be to whisper if it's convenient without distracting others. You would go and whisper to the host, "Could you please pardon me for 10 minutes? I'll be right back." Right? In a formal dining experience, the host is the most important element. So the way you honor the host says a lot about your professionalism. When someone invites you to a meal in their home, you people are making me teach dining etiquette on day one. I see what you're doing here. Back to the issue at hand. Back to the issue at hand. Today, I should finish this. Okay. I did lead you here, so let me finish this sentence. If you are invited to a meal in someone's house, it's also considered good etiquette to bring a gift. So some of you are laughing. You have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, as have I until I understood this. But it is considered good etiquette when you're invited to a meal in someone's home to bring something. And it's usually a drink, a dessert, a houseplant, something that says thank you for allowing me to come into your personal space, right? If it's at a hotel or things like that, that's not necessary. But if a person invites you to their home, it's considered rude to show up empty-handed, okay? All right, so I finished that sentence. We're gonna park dining, but this helps you. You know, we always talk about the career ladder, right? If you want to climb any ladder of success, polished professionalism, this type of knowledge really helps you set yourself apart. It distinguishes you. It helps you to have good relationship with the people that you're working for or with. If you're a business owner, it really expands the realm of how many people you can deal with. Some of us are good with local clients. When it comes to international clients, we falter, right? In one of my previous trainings a few years ago, there was a woman who put her hands on her head and said, "Oh my God, now I see what I did wrong." She gave the example. She makes very beautiful, very unique jewelry pieces. So necklaces and, very unique, very eclectic. And she said she had the opportunity to meet an American woman who had come to Ghana for a period of time, who saw her things and said she really likes it. She'd love to take some back to the US. So she gave her an order to fill and that in 3 months she would be back to Ghana. So when she came back to Ghana, the woman met the client at the airport and picked her up and said these dreaded words. "Hey, you've put on, oh." Someone's holding her head back there. Stella is like, I cannot believe this. She said, you put on, oh. And in Ghana, we say these things loosely, right? And we don't, yeah. It's almost an endearing compliment that in this economy you could grow. But she didn't understand the intercultural etiquette, and that for people from certain parts of the world, these are sensitive issues that aren't discussed. And a lot of us sometimes get very informal too quickly. So you meet someone and they are not, there's no deference, there's no courtesy extended for prolonged periods of time. Maybe it's a client who sent you a request and then you respond, thank you, dear. How did they become your dear? You just met them. Thank you, sweetheart. And so sometimes we get too familiar too quickly. And she was saying, I made all these mistakes I did not know. So some of us are not succeeding in international arenas simply because we've just not learned the rules that are often unspoken and unwritten. So it helps you to do business better. It will help you get along with colleagues at work better. Because against these rules, there's no law. The protocol is we want to err on the side of formality. We want to be able to give people deferential and preferential treatment as a default. And when you do that, you'll notice that, wow, people seem to be responding to me way better. My clients seem way happier. My bosses seem more impressed because you're putting these rules to work. Ajwa? Yes. She's taking me back to dining. Right. Yes, that was actually the right thing to do. So usually you don't have those things that are that heavy. I saw you struggled, but you did it. So if they say, pass me bread, you don't put your hand and pick one bread and give the person. You pick the entire bread basket and you pass it. Now, ideally, when we're sat in the way that we were sat down for a meal, usually you give it to the person who asked, then you offer to those immediately. And you did that, which I thought was excellent, right? Now, usually when it's a mixed audience, when there's men and women, men usually pour the drinks. So a sign of a polished professional man is that he pours, especially, maybe not to the whole table, but will offer, and when you're offering, you offer to people to the right and to the left of you before you pour for yourself. I pick up the water. May I offer you some? Would you like some water? I would pour hers. I would pour hers before I pour mine. That's how you do it. Okay? All right. You see all the secrets are being released? You see all the secrets? Yes, please.
When the bread is all laid out, please, yes.
Oh, dear.
A specific one in there that you want. It's not at the top, but
In the middle. I need the one on the base or in the middle.
how do you go about it? Because if it's cut bread, maybe it's a loaf
Right.
and you have it all laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one at the very edge, probably in the middle. It will distort the arrangement, but you want that particular crunchy looking.
Okay. I get what you're asking. Okay,
So
so.
like if it's bread, I want either the first or the last.
So I would encourage you. Remember what I said before. You are here to meet, not to eat. That might not be the time to be rummaging through the bread baskets to get to the something. But there's nothing wrong with saying, may I please? So for example, there's pie, there's Danish, there's croissant, there's this, and they're all in the same basket. So I went to, I invited a client, we had tea at, was it Kempinski, and they do bread baskets, and not every bread is the same. So there's like a long baguette, there's like a bread roll, there's another one that has seeds, there's a brown one, there's a white one. So there's nothing wrong with saying, may I have the baguette, please? Or could you pass me the bread? And then you use a clean utensil to pick the one you actually want, or your fork to pierce out the one you actually want, or a napkin to hold what you want. If, for example, the huge platter that we had that she struggled to lift, and then she's holding the platter, then you are doing all of the rummaging while that person is holding it to get at something, that's considered rude. So usually I encourage that you try to provide little or no friction when you're in a fine dining situation. So, for example, when you passed me the croissant, the one nearest to me was darker than I like my croissant, but it was the one nearest to me, so that's what I picked. We're here to meet, not to eat. So I just took the outer layer off, which was a bit more hard, and ate the internal. So if I were home, when you're home, you take the corner loaf, you dump it into that tea, you eat the thing, you do what you want. But when you're out and about and you're wanting to give a good first impression, you really want to err on the side of formality. Yes.
So am I hearing that sometimes you have to make accommodation
Absolutely.
just to save the space?
Absolutely.
Because I wanted stevia for my tea, and I'm like, this is a posh place.
Mhm.
They should have like varieties in the sugar content, but they only give brown sugar. And I think Auntie Joy said, oh, they may not have it. And I just, okay, I'll come.
Did you ask the wait? So it's not.
That's why I'm
It's
like,
never wrong to ask a wait staff if they have something. So, for example, I didn't want sugar either. So I said, do you have honey? I prefer my coffee with honey. And they brought me honey. So I'm not saying you can't ask for what you want, but I am saying when it comes to the interactions with the people you are there to meet, err on the side of formality. You don't want to be the one who says "Sss" to the wait staff. You don't want to be the one. If you are a guest, it is the host you report to. So, for example, you could have asked me, Yawa, I don't know, do you know whether they have stevia available? And then because I'm the one who arranged this gathering, I could go to the host or the owner or the whoever, the maitre d', to ask specifically for you. Which is why when you're invited to formal events, I was telling those who were seated near me, I don't know if you heard it where you were sat down, that it is good etiquette to actually let people know in advance. Because sometimes I'm off certain foods, and so I will say, well, I'm doing vegetables only. If instead of this, could they make me a plate of steamed vegetables? And I'm not doing any alcoholic drink, so if they could offer me sparkling water, you do that thing in advance so that you are not the one at the table looking standoffish, looking like you are too good for the food that has been set before you. You are not the one who's causing problems because the host didn't make arrangements for you because you never told them what you needed to have arranged, right? Stella,
So two things. I'm not a breakfast person.
you're not a what?
Breakfast person.
Yes.
I don't eat breakfast. I know it's a bad habit, but it tastes funny in my mouth when I eat in the morning. So I don't eat breakfast. The second thing is, from way back when, I thought we eat bread not with cutlery, but we break it up, we eat with a piece at a time with our hand. So I don't know if it's a cultural thing, I don't know if it's, okay, so you have the American way, you have the British way.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out, does it depend on the country? Or is
It doesn't. It depends on the bread. So, for example, you people are making me teach dining today. For example, you would have dinner rolls, round, compact. That's fine. Those are eaten in pinches. You pinch a piece, and for those who don't know, you only butter the piece that's about to enter your mouth. There is deliverance happening all over this room. I can feel it. the presence of deliverance. That can be handled with hand. Toast can be handled with fingers as well. And again, you want to toast, you can spread butter and jam on toast, although we still advise that you pinch and butter, right? We had some complicated cutlery, complicated pastries at our table today. So we've had the chocolate-filled croissant. We had plain croissant. We had all of these pastries are buttery and flaky. So I recommend if you've got buttery, flaky, fork and knife the thing if you can. If it were a standing gathering, and remember I said one or the other, I would encourage you to take the drink. Because you put those flaky pastries to your mouth, it ends up in your makeup, it ends up on your, it ends up all over your shirt and other things, and it's hard to come across as a polished professional when you've got all these flakes on your mouth and flakes on your chest, and then your handshake becomes a buttery handshake. So those are the 3 considerations I would encourage you to make, because I love tuna sandwiches, but I would never eat them in public. Hello, my name is Yawa. Then I hit you with the tuna. You get it? So I will eat my tuna sandwiches at home, especially if I'm not speaking or doing anything formally. That would be the only condition under which I'd eat a tuna sandwich or a salad with onions in it. I like onions in my salad, but when I'm teaching and training, I have people coming up to me, I'm speaking, hi, what's your name? Ooh, you don't want to hit them with offensive scents and odors. So that's why I really want to encourage each of us to think, how do we curate the best version of ourselves in any environment, especially when it's a dining environment? Yes, Stella.
Sorry, so is it rude not to eat?
So I would encourage you, especially if you've not given prior notice to a host or hostess, to play around with the food. That's what I told those nearest to me. This is what we were taught at Protocol School of Washington, especially if the food is plated and it's brought to you. Take something small, cut it into small pieces, see an attempt, and get engrossed in conversation that nobody notices you have not had a bite, especially if you don't really know who your host is. Oftentimes, you not eating can be seen as an affront. Like, she's too good for us. That's why, especially when I'm in a fasted state, or if I try to tell the host ahead of time that, there's periods where I go off a lot of things. I was like, it's not personal, it's not whatever. I'm just not, so this is what I can eat. I don't know what you're intending to serve, but if they could fix me a plate of steamed veggies, I would be grateful. Because I'm making an attempt to want to participate in the eating without seeming like too extra, right? And so it's also considered rude to talk about like health and dietary things at a table. So if your reason is health or dietary, we don't need that information. So people will say, especially when I'm in those phases where I'm doing nothing but vegetables, hey, well, I said, no, this is what I was in the mood for today. Laugh it off and move it along. I'm not telling you that, look, my blood pressure is high, oh, I'm trying to bring it down, oh. I'm not telling you that my blood sugar, it's considered bad etiquette to discuss health matters especially with people you don't really know, right? I hope that's helpful. Great. All right, is it me or is it getting warm in the room now? Okay, so is Elisha here? Let's see if we can get Elisha. Can you get Elisha to get them to cool us down a bit? So we want to, do I have some volunteers? In fact, I'll just make everybody do this. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Get them to cool down. It's now very warm. Yeah. Everyone gets up. Find someone you don't know, like you're meeting for the first time or you don't know relatively well, right? Imagine we are at a social function and you're meeting them for the first time. So just show me, if you need space, some of you can come out here. I know we're in groups of 3, so pair yourself in groups of 2. Pair yourself in groups of 2, and then find someone that you don't know very well or you don't know at all, and assume that we've just come to a formal, today we are saying it's a business networking event. Business networking event. What number is it on? Okay. Is that the lowest fan speed?
Yes.
Okay, it is the lowest. Okay, and it's on what, 20? Okay. So imagine you've just met this person for the first time. Even if you know their name, pretend you don't know their name. I want you to do the full shebang of my name is, however you usually introduce yourself. And I'll just walk around and be eavesdropping, and then we'll debrief this, okay? All right, so let the games begin.
My name is Stella. I'm Eileen. Nice to meet you, Eileen.
So I work with an architecture firm and I'm the head of IT.
It's a shipping company, basically. It's called Happen Roy. And basically what I do there is just a plant officer overseeing the whole Africa.
So I also have a 6-year-old as a project in Africa. Yeah. So we are doing one project in South Africa and other regions.
So what's your project?
So we are doing a film. I'm doing my project
Okay.
we also do residential spaces.
Okay, so I was actually going to ask you if you're into real estate.
Yeah, so another company that is branching into that, which will then for small real estate. Yeah, but the main is more focused on
So your space is you run the whole Africa?
yes, so we run the African projects from the ground. Yes. Yes, we have one project, but the client had a few issues trying to get access to the and it was an Ivory Coast.
Was it Ivory Coast?
It's very difficult.
I don't think it's about Ivory Coast. I think it's maybe different from always in English living countries doing business, but I think it works for them. And if you want to work in that space, then you have to follow their rules, right?
Their rules are sort of, sometimes you don't even know who to talk to. Because I used to work in police and in my role, I was still taking, I was in charge of the country and I could. And I think at that time we were really very team. So I was doing more than I realized that
with these kind of people, I think it's been helpful for me to actually find a locality. I can help you one that's sort of like a guide around the country and also very helpful to understand the laws and how you point to what you have and the system, like I said, can be really different from the so that you don't offend people culturally, and then do things the way.
All right, let's stop work.
Okay.
All right, time up. Hey, my people. Time up. Please stay standing or stay with your partner. Stay wherever. Yes. So Give me feedback about the person you met. How would you describe them based on your short interaction? Jafar? Yes.
Okay, I think she's
Warm.
She's warm, welcoming. Actually, I want to know more.
Okay. What was it about? What was it? What she said? What? Please debrief for us. What was it about your interaction with her that makes you think she's warm?
Okay, well, she showed interest in me.
Okay. How?
Like, tell me, where do you come from? So that sort of sidetracked it. I thought she would say, what do you do?
Okay.
So it went, a little bit personal.
Right.
I opened up. Thereafter, she also told me a bit about herself, which
Mhm.
was really interesting. And I'm like, can we continue the conversation?
That's why you wouldn't stop. When I was asking you to stop, they wouldn't stop. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, in a nutshell.
Okay. And what is your impression about this one?
So I think she did the introduction and I taken note, but now I'm like, I want to know behind the perfection,
Mm-hmm.
who is this person?
Mm.
So I felt she was very kind.
Kind.
And I observed that I'm cheating because when she came from the beginning,
Right.
you haven't started. She greeted everybody like around.
Right.
And I took note of that.
Right.
That was different.
Right.
I was like one person, but she went around the table. So I felt she was kind.
Right.
And I wanted to know more. So that's my adjective.
Wow. Look at that first impression vibe. Any other group want to tell me? Yes, let's.
Okay, so this is Baba. And I think she's calm, but she's a go-getter. I think she's subtle, but she goes.
Okay.
Yes. Because being a nurse, you completed in 2021, waited for the government to post you, and already she has a lot on her plate. If, she's still practicing the nursing in other hospitals, yes, and she's busy. She does makeup, wigs, and other things. So she's making money already. Not sitting and crying and waiting for a government posting and everything. I think that is very innovative. So I'll trust her because she's a nurse. She does makeup, so I'll trust her because she knows what will be good for my skin, and so I'll patronize it.
Okay.
Free business.
Free business. Okay. So the vibe about her is positive, and she comes across as entrepreneurial. And what is your impression of?
Yeah, my impression about her is that she's hardworking and helpful. She's
Mhm.
welcoming as well.
Welcoming. What does she do to make you feel welcome?
She asked about more details about what I do, so I told her. And then she's a mom, she's a wife, she's doing farming. That's being very busy and also being very helpful.
Right.
Yeah, so
I noticed their body language. She was smiling a lot and was looking into her face almost with a tilted head. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder what they're talking about. So I came and kind of eavesdropped a little over here to hear what they were talking about. And she also seemed so engrossed in what was being said. So it's not surprising that each of them seems positive about the other. And that's something I had to learn too, as someone who, remember, cerebral, frowning face all the time, had to learn how to look people in their eye while they're speaking, have a bit of a smile to show appreciation for what I'm hearing. And I thought she did that really well with her facial expression. So I wanted to call that out. Let me come to this group.
Can I just?
Let's finish the debrief. Hold the question, please. Yes.
So she comes across as friendly.
Friendly.
And
What does she do to make you feel that she's friendly?
She smiles, she giggles.
Okay.
She giggles.
Like this? Like that?
So it's friendly, it's welcoming,
Right.
and she's knowledgeable about her space and what she does. She's excited about it. She knows about the space.
Right.
She talks about the projects that they're involved in the different countries, some of the challenges she's faced in the Francophone countries, and we just sort of shared, experiences on how to handle that.
Okay. What is your impression about Stella?
She listens.
Oh, tell me more.
Yes. So
at some point, I was looking at her and I could realize that she was paying attention to every single word, and her response to what I was saying made me feel that she was actually listening. Yes, sometimes you're having conversations and people are not present.
Yes,
She was present.
yeah.
Yes.
And I could see the way this was the group that, well, maybe because of where they are in the room as well, conversation should be had shoulder to shoulder, where possible. So you were very engrossed in her, but you did have this chair in between you. So she was facing kind of this way, you were facing kind of this way. So where possible, you want to stand shoulder to shoulder when you're having a conversation, because this is the optimal position where I can look into your eyes, you can look into mine, we can have a good conversation. And I guess maybe because you're well positioned in the center of the room, it made it possible. I know they were still within the row, so maybe standing that way, but ideally, you get the space, push this chair and stand shoulder to shoulder for your conversations, all right? The other thing I noticed about this group, now I notice there's probably 4 people in the room currently like this. One of you in this room stood like this the whole conversation. And I want you to consider, part of what executive presence, polished professionalism is an invitation to presenting yourself as welcoming. Who stands like this? Security officers and guards, bouncers. Bouncers at a nightclub. So I don't want you to give off bouncer vibes by standing like this the whole time. So the best place, and I know a lot of people feel uncomfortable with it, the best place for your hands when they're not in use is actually just by your side. Raise your hand to do emphasis, to say something, to add emphasis to what you're saying. And when they're not in use, bring them back to your side. This was one of the hardest things I learned in my own coaching. My first executive coach, her name is Sue Galkey. She's based in the US. She wrote a book called 101 Ways to Captivate a Business Audience. And she said, you Africans have a problem, don't you? Because if you're not like this or not like this, you feel like, and all of this thing, that's what I said this morning, we may have to unlearn a few things. Because a lot of us were told good, respectful, is hand behind your back, or like this, or like, and this is what we call closed body language. So your body is speaking too, not just your mouth. So we want to, and I'm not also saying stand attention. I'm not saying do that either. But I am saying just be a little loose. Keep your hands at your side when they're not in use. When you're ready to use them, bring them back into use. Bring them back here. And avoid the stiffness of one solo position over a period of time. The other reason why this is not an ideal position is it kind of draws attention to all of our private spaces, right? So I know a lot of people pose for photos this way, but actually do this. Stand, by your side or whatever, stand. You can put your hands midriff this way or this way, but don't be locked in a position throughout. So I know one of you in this room was like this the whole time while she's talking. And her face looked friendly and all of that, but she stood in this position this whole time. So I really want to encourage you. So I would discourage this too. This is, I'm a wait staff. I'm here at your service. Whatever you want, boss, madame, sir. And there are some contexts where that could be appropriate. And remember, I said the goal of this is that you'll have relevance in more spaces. And in some spaces, this might be optimal. Maybe it's in a traditional setting where that's their expectation. But what I'm teaching you today is very heavily what's recommended for global business environments, right? Where you should, if you go and see the Shantihini and there's a protocol for how you go there, go to that protocol. You don't say, I went to Polished Professionalism and here I am doing what I have learned at Polished Professionalism because I am global. It's about being relevant in more spaces, which is why you take counsel. So when I'm briefed, those who invite me to speak at places or invite me to, I want to see the room before the day. I want to see how low the chair will be. So I'll see, do I need a longer dress than what I've intended to wear? I think about all of those things because I recognize that, truth be told, I only get this one chance to make a first impression on the people that will be in that space on that day. I was at this event recently. They had to change the chair for one of the speakers because this sofa was so low and the corset was so tight that when she sat down, so they had, and it made the photos look off because all of the other speakers were on these low sofas. And then, so I will ask questions like, please, what is the seating arrangement? Can you send me a picture of the chair? If I know the conference room or the hall, I would want to see it ahead of time so that I can also visualize, okay, let me see when I'm on the stage, what do I want to be wearing? What would make me be able to, oh, I have 10 steps to climb? Okay, where's the optimal place? Okay, my slides will be here. Where's the optimal place to stand? So that when I arrive here this morning, I have to make some changes in the room so that it can be suited to how I want to deliver. You get what I mean? So this is just a coffee conversation, a cocktail conversation, but take this mindset to everything now. That, okay, if I'm going to be at this event, or I'm going to be meeting, I will ask conference organizer who else will be there. I will ask, oh, who's on the guest list? Okay, I want to meet this person. Can you make the intro? A lot of what polishes your professionalism is you taking the driver's seat of creating the interactions. And the more you can control, the easier it gets to appear. All of the work that I have to do to present like I have done no work. Do you see the trick here? You've thought ahead. You've figured, you've understood, you can ask Elisha. They've been here twice to see the rooms. Then which room are we going to use? Send me a video of it. I want to visualize it. Okay, where do I want this to be set up? Because there's a type of experience I'm looking to curate. So similarly, think about yourself that way. You may not be a business owner or what, but think, I'm about to go to this event. Who are the people coming to this event? Who do I want to try to make a beeline to meet or greet? Do you do some Googling to find out, okay, these are the speakers, so that when you do have that 2-second of introduction, you have something pleasant to say. You have something meaningful to say. Congratulations on your recent award. Oh my God. I went to a conference where this guy, he said, I thank you for, he was quoting me. I meet people all the time, and it's niceties and all of that. So you're like, oh, thank you, thank you. This guy was quoting me. He's like, I've been following you for the past 7 years. I first met you at a British Council event in 2019, and you said this, this, and this, and it stuck with me. I bought all of your books. I love chapter 7 of your first book, and I love chapter 3. He was, and I'm like, okay, tell me more. So you see how you stand out from the crowd? You can all of the people who I met after speaking at that event, he's the one I remembered. So guess whose emails I'm replying? Guess who's WhatsApp? Because this is someone who did a little extra work. So similarly, I want you to start thinking, how do I help people? Because warm is one thing. Because there's some people, they check first impression, but what comes after? So you are warm. I won the first impression, but am I continually warm and professional and responsive? And so it's a journey. That's why this morning I wanted to lay that foundation that this is step 1 in crafting a version of you that you can beat your chest and be proud about. That everyone's description of you will be aligned with what you want them to think, because you're actually doing the work to curate an expression of yourself that is legit worth knowing. In the back, please.
This is Eric. He's very interesting. He studied something engineering but decided to do digital marketing. He has a very interesting hobby. He sings in the shower. You have to do it. He's going to audition for America's Got Talent.
Oh, wow. All right. And you? What did you learn about Ajwa?
First of all, I see her to be a very interesting person, and I feel like we have some kind of alignment.
Okay.
In the sense that we are both helpers, and she's a very good helper, and she's working in a space where she's looking to help people like me. Because I'm now starting my business and everything, and she's helping people who are startups to like better align themselves, to create systems in their businesses for it to stand and all that.
Okay. So you learned about her professionally. She learned about you personally. Let me give you a caveat. Anytime you're meeting people for the first time, you want to err on the side of formality, which means the question that you asked, where do you come from? Maybe because we're all in Ghana here, that's fine. But in international settings, it might be seen as a crossing of the line. You just met me. Where do I come from? Why does that matter to you? Right? So that's why I want you to be relevant in more spaces than just Ghana. Ghana, we can meet you right now. Are you married? In other jurisdictions, wait a minute. Why are you asking me why am I married? Oh, and that's why internationally we talk about the weather. I don't control the weather. You don't control the weather. NPP doesn't control the weather. My political party, your religious organization, or mine. So you want to choose innocuous topics of conversation. So I would really encourage you to stick to things like the shared experience you're having. I overheard your conversation. What made you decide to come to this event? So you're having a shared experience. And that's why weather is one of the most popular topics, because it's a shared experience. The weather is happening to us all. We are not doing it. It is happening to us. So you might want to stick to a shared experience. You might want to avoid conversation about appearance. It can be misconstrued, especially in male, female. What does my lipstick color have to do with this conversation? Oh, this is so nice. And what? You're going to see in a few slides what is actually considered professional eye contact. And a lot of you didn't have it in this room. As I was going around, I was looking at where your eyes were when the person was speaking. I was looking at your posture and all of that. And I want to make sure that you can be relevant in more spaces than just this one. So I want to call out the fact that don't be quick to get too personal too quickly. You want to err on the side of formality, and so many of us get very informal very quickly. So the first time conversation is probably not the space to be asking, are you married? Do you have kids? How many? Where are you from? How many languages do you speak? Well, maybe that's innocuous, but you want to always read a little more into a first time encounter. If you and I have known, so she and I have known each other for years. So I can see her and say, how's your daughter? Is she doing good? But, because we've got rapport. We've got years of relationship. But for someone you've just met in a space, that's why if you absolutely must compliment, you may need to preface it. I hope you don't mind me saying, I love your lip color. I've not been able to stop staring at it. I hope you don't mind me saying, that is a beautiful blazer. I hope you don't mind me saying, I love your frames, your glasses, right? Because we want to acknowledge the fact that ideally, you do not compliment physicality on a first-time encounter. Now, some of you are like, yeah, well, you've taken my only bullet. The only thing I can say when I meet people to break the ice is a comment about what they are wearing or a compliment about what they look like. Now, Yahweh, you've taken my only bullet? Yes, I have. I want you to cultivate other bullets. I want you to understand that there are different pathways to conversation. And I think you all did generally a very good job. But please remember, conversations should be shoulder to shoulder where possible. Always remember that you should start with a handshake. Some of you had some lingering handshakes. You held the hand and were kind of talking while holding the hand, like you're playing a game or you're skipping rope or something. We're going to look at the proper way to handshake very shortly. But other than that, I think you've done a great job. And the third thing is err on the side of formality. So avoid getting too personal too quickly. But clap for yourselves and take your seats.
The steps are here.
Oh, the rest of the snacks. Okay. Thank you. All right. So now that we've had a taster of what we've been doing and what we could improve and what we may need to unlearn and what we may need to revise, let's now get into unpacking how does one distinguish themselves through professionalism. These are the key principles of your professionalism. We're looking at all of these things together, giving that first impression of you in positivity. So it's your eye contact, which is why I commented. I thought most of you had very strong, very positive eye contact today.
I know that you need light, but it's affecting.
Oh, okay. Can we?
Pull down the lights.
Well, you could darken it. Yeah, dark.
Oh, this one.
Can that one come down? Okay. And we could as well put the lights off. Does this help? Can you hit the light? Is there a light switch?
It's at the back.
Yeah. Is that helpful? Does that help? Does that not come down?
No,
Okay. All right. So, principles of professionalism, we're really looking at a couple of key metrics. It's your eye contact, it's your conversational ability, your people skills, it's your facial expressions. Remember, fix your face, Yawa, fix your face. It's also your greetings, how you greet people. It's also your posture. I've had to learn how to sit up and stand up and, shoulders squared. It's how you introduce yourself and introduce others. And your mingling ability or your people skills. So these are the sectors we want to now go deep in. So we'll start off with your eye contact. Your eye contact is important because it tells people that you're listening. It tells people that you are. Have you ever spoken to someone who's just looking at you like this blank? How does it make you feel? Uncomfortable. Or you're talking to someone, they're just looking at something on your head. Has someone ever done that to you before? So there's a discomfort if the eye contact isn't even calibrated well. So eye contact isn't about blink staring at people. It's about regulating your attention on the person with whom you're interacting in order to convey togetherness, understanding, and cordiality. Okay? So togetherness, understanding, cordiality. Those are the three goals. I'm with you because I'm looking at you. I'm deepening my understanding by keeping my eyes locked. And I want to foster warmth and cordiality. It also helps you because when you focus on the person, you'll likely become a better listener as you do that. And so we're going to look at the three types of eye contact today. What's considered professional or business eye contact, what's considered social eye contact, and what is considered intimate eye contact. Are you ready to see that?
Yes.
Are you ready? Some people are like, chale, right? Do you see the triangle on the forehead? That is what's considered appropriate business eye contact. Meaning when I meet you for the first time, I'm not looking at your necklace or your brooch. I'm not looking at your buttons, your blazer. I'm not looking at your shoes or your skirt. My eye contact is in this small triangle on your forehead. Because in that triangle, there's nothing sexual. In that triangle, you have my attention. I can build warmth. I can foster listening and cordiality. And I don't need to look at anything else. So oftentimes you meet someone and, and especially it happens to us a lot as ladies, have you ever met someone and it felt like they were undressing you with their eyes? For the gentlemen in the room, it's a thing. There's someone I had the opportunity to work for in this company, and they invited me because he was making the women in the office feel very uncomfortable. And often, he would talk to them, then he would be licking his lips. Many of you women in the room look mortified right now. Rightly so. Because to him, where he went to senior high school, the boys, that's what confidence looked like. It looked like a 90s rapper. Haven't you seen this? Back in the 90s, rappers had this style. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then they sway from side to side like this. They tilt to this side, then they tilt to that side, then they do this, and then they lick their lips. So to him, that's what confidence looked like. Confidence looked like a 90s rapper. And he's doing this while he's talking to the women on his team. You know what I'm saying? We got to do this, And he's licking his lip. And a lot of these women were starting to feel uncomfortable. And were misconstruing this vibe that he was creating. So oftentimes, we've learned different ways. Maybe you were influenced by celebrity. I mean, I grew up listening to rap music because we grew up in African American communities and all. So I could understand that in a level that a lot of people couldn't. Because if that's all you see, that's what you repeat. But may I share with you that a lot of the rules of professionalism are influenced not by celebrity, but by royalty. So your sense of fashion, if it's influenced by women like the Kardashians, or who are some of your favorite celebrities? You may make a mistake if you're mimicking their fashion, mimicking their way of dressing, their way of communicating in formal business environments. Because we may be laughing at this guy, but on the flip side, I was invited to coach a young woman. Well, not so young, actually. Newly promoted. She has the title of authority, but she says, nobody respects me here. She said, can you believe even my junior, this guy is not at my rank. And he walks up and puts his hand around my waist. I said, oh, really? May I speak freely? Oh, yes, Yawa. I said, you kind of look like Nicki Minaj, more than you look like a corporate executive. Now, a lot of us are informed by celebrity, hairstyle, makeup style, so we look hot and sexy, like the women in the music videos that these men that you are leading are watching. And so inadvertently, we may be sending mixed signals. And this is the stuff a lot of us don't want to hear. They should control their behavior. The way I dress is up to me. I hear you. But the truth is, people do look at the outward appearance first. And you want to think, what is the image I want to curate of myself to be successful in the role I'm currently in? And that should inform your choice of dress. It should inform the kind of eye signals, because a lot of us are guilty of that as women too. Hey, I like your tie. What are you looking at the tie for? Do you see professional eye contact where it ends? We do it too. We go and rub the guy's head. What are you rubbing his head for? In an office environment. Hey, Charlie, then you tap his shoulders and you've got... So some of us are also guilty. So it goes both ways, and I want you to just be aware of what's considered professional, what's considered appropriate, so that you don't inadvertently blur the lines, especially when you should be professional. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
You are cracking up. Are we okay here?
Sometimes you just can't help it. Like,
You can't help what?
the clean shave, the good smell, like, it's just all about you.
You've been guilty of harassing some brothers. I think this is confession time, isn't it? You've been guilty, aren't you? You can't help it. Please help it. Please restrain yourself. Because it's not just a male issue. That's the point I'm trying to make. That, you grab the tie. Hey, this tie is nice, the perfume, the cologne. Yes, notice it, but understand that now you are a polished professional. Polished professional, repent. Yes, observe, look, but don't touch. And don't, it's not uncommon that people that you work for or with, you catch feelings for. You start like, this guy's fine, this woman is fine. And polished professionalism, please refrain from the touching, unnecessary eye signals, because this is what is considered appropriate for social environments as well. If you're in a social environment, let's say we're at a cocktail or a soiree or something like that, this is acceptable. But again, I would encourage you to desist from compliments that have to do with physicality, especially if you've not built rapport with someone, if you've not known them for a while, because it can backfire. If every day you see them, you look nice, you smell good, this is nice, and the day you don't say it, so today I don't look good, today I don't smell nice, what are you saying? And so I've seen a lot of leaders who default to complimenting physicality fall into trouble. I think my boss likes me. He just thinks he's being nice. Oh, I think this woman is coming on to me. So I try to just avoid it altogether, especially if someone works for me. They may look good, they may look nice, I may compliment, but like, nah. If that just becomes the way, it can be so misconstrued, okay? So what can you compliment? I'd encourage you to compliment things they do. I like what you said when we were in that meeting. I totally agreed with you. Thank you for raising this issue. It really is important to the team. So keep your compliments professional too. Thank you for coming early. She was here first. She was here, what time did you arrive? Like before 8. She sent me a picture. I'm here. I was like, wow. So I arrived, I gave her a hug. I was like, wow, I'm impressed. Your enthusiasm and your energy to be here this early, you got here before me. Wow. So I complimented what she did, not what she looked like. So compliments are great and they're good icebreakers, but especially as you're looking to elevate and be relevant in more spaces than what you're used to, I'd encourage you to learn how to compliment for things done, actions taken, and keep it professional. The third type of eye contact is intimate eye contact. Anything below the chin is considered intimate. That's why you don't want to, you just met this person, that's a really nice brooch, or and if you must say it, what do you say before you say the compliment? I hope you don't mind me saying. I really like your frames. Where did you get them? I really, like this. I hope you don't mind me saying. Even if you're making a religious comment, I'm very spiritual, very religious, and so I would say, pardon me if you're not Christian, I wanted to reference this. I hope you don't mind me praying before we start. You acknowledge, these are the things that you say to acknowledge the fact that not everyone believes what you believe or will see things the same way you see them, right? All right. So any questions on eye contact? Now we...
Yes, Yama.
Yes.
I do have a question. Does this apply to whether you're relating to the same sex, for example, these restrictions on eye contact, if it was female to female, I should still maintain that?
I would encourage it. Whether you're female or male and I do a lot of training, this type of training for corporates, financial services sector, banking, finance, etc. And they said, yeah, well, you're taking our only bullet. When we go to the client office and we're trying to sell business, we compliment the people, they feel good, then we can make the ask. I said, I beg, not everyone needs that. You may be surprised. Do your homework. Wow, we read online, before in preparation for today's meeting, we read congratulations on, winning this award or those are even better received. Because the day you meet them and you don't tell them they're looking nice, they're checking themselves. Has it happened to you? You're like, wow, the last time I went here, every time I go here, they say, then the next time you're going there, you're like, have I done it well today? Will they say I'm looking good? Because that compliment on your appearance has now set an expectation that can be double-binded, right? So think about other things that you can compliment. If you've gone to the company and you're meeting the CEO, I just really want to acknowledge, I saw that you've launched this new initiative and I think it's going to make a big difference. So congratulations to you and the team. The other day I had a meeting at this bank and all of the women, newly appointed, all of the managing directors are women. So the managing director and the 2 deputies are women. And before I started that meeting, I said, may I just acknowledge that this is a big deal. I want to congratulate you and the other 2 deputies on I think this means a lot for women, that this bank is now fully led by women. And I wish you all of the best in your tenure. They looked really nice. One of the women was wearing something that I kept kind of looking at from the corner of my eye, but I had to drink my own medicine. Yawa, you do not know these women. This is your first time in this space. Keep your comment professional. And so I complimented on certain things that were professional as opposed to personal. And as I build rapport with them, now someone is saying, you may be thinking, like, what if every day I've known these people for years? Then yes, small talk leads to deeper talk. Small talk leads to big talk, right? And that's when you can now start building personal rapport where that would not come off as offensive. So I'm really saying in deepening a in quickening a relationship or cultivating a relationship for the first time, these are the things that you want to avoid. All right, any other questions on eye contact? Let's look at entrances now. How do you enter and exit a room? Who would like to be my first volunteer? Thank you, my first volunteer. Can we clap? The job is simple. Just walk out, count to 5 slowly, and walk back in. Please take your bag with you, if you don't mind. Everybody is doing this. We're a small enough group that we can do this. And the goal is we who remain in the room will just observe and then we'll give feedback. All right? I'll sit there.
5 seconds.
5 seconds, please.
Where do I go?
All right. Talk to me about how, if you didn't know her, if you were just, you're about to have a situation, right? Please. Talk to me. If you didn't know this person and she just walked in the room, what's the vibe she's giving off? Just shout it out. Don't overthink it. Serious? Professional? Friendly? Ready? Okay. Put together? Okay. Why professional? She hasn't worked for you before. How do you know she's professional? The look.
The look.
Okay.
Right, the look, and then I also noticed that she had it was a smile, but not too wide a smile, just enough to say, I'm approachable. Yeah, so
Great.
that was okay.
What was your word?
Ready.
Ready. What? Ready for what?
Like,
What does she look ready for?
whatever the meeting is about to take place or the occasion, she
Right.
was like, maybe confidently coming, but she walked in like, no stopping. You know, some people will enter and they're like hiding. Like that she came in with that chest out. Like,
Right. So she seemed ready. Okay. Anyone else want to explain their choice of word? Okay. Great. Next. You're next.
I'm going on next.
You're next. Clap. Just walk out and come back in. Yes, everyone can just take whatever they came with. Take whatever you came with. You open the door, you count to 5, and then you walk back to your seat.
It's pressure on us.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Impressions? You don't know this person? She just walked in, Stella? Demure. Okay. Well, what does demure mean to you? Because this word has become so used. So I have to ask.
Ladylike.
Ladylike. Okay. What was it about her features? Or was it the walk? Was it the dress? What was it that looked ladylike?
The walk and the flow of the dress.
Okay. Interesting. Anyone else?
So she muttered something which I thought seemed like a shy person until she said, hello everybody, then suddenly another side of her popped up. So
That's
Yeah, she grumbled something,
when
mumbled
she
words.
recognized,
Okay.
Is this a shy person? And then she walked up with a smile and she says, hello, everybody. And okay, maybe not so shy.
Okay. Interesting. Anyone else? Yes.
I would say she's quite calm.
Calm. What made you think she's calm?
Because she was really gentle and then she kind of took her time.
Like she calculated each step.
Calculated steps.
Okay. Interesting. Yes. Eric.
I agree. She was shy entering as well.
She looked shy entering. When she said good morning, everyone, did you still think she was shy?
Yes, I felt
Because-
like she was trying to like make
Mask it.
herself like comfortable in this space. So
That's
yeah.
honestly the vibe I got as well. Good observation. Anyone else care to share what your impression?
Can I
Yes,
say-
please.
I thought she looked motherly.
Motherly.
And a little bit tired.
Motherly and tired. Explain.
I think it is the way she entered. She entered in slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is me being honest.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else with feedback? All right. Up next. The lot has fallen on you.
You count the going out, or you only count the coming in.
Look at the pressure I put everybody under. Impressions? Lady. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. No nonsense. What was it about this walk? I think this is an interesting one because I felt the vibe too. I will be honest and say I felt the vibe too. What can you do? Unpack, debrief?
I think it's the way her head was, where her head was, and she pursed her lips a little bit.
Do you see? These are the things I used to be guilty of. So I'm glad that we're noticing them so that we can tweak. Yes.
I think she came in like she knows her seat.
Mm-hmm.
That's my seat. So I wonder if there was somebody already on her seat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the goal of this is to assume you're entering the seat for the room for the first time. And I know this is not an ideal situation because we've been in this room the whole morning, but imagine you weren't sure where you were going. So for the rest of you who are about to go out, keep that in mind. You've just entered the room. How do you want to be perceived? And how do you want to locate your seat? You're next. What's the impression?
She's friendly.
Friendly? What made you think she's friendly?
Smile.
The smile. Okay. Anyone else?
Happy and shy.
Happy and shy. Please unpack. What was the happiness and what was the tell for the shyness?
I think she was smiling too wide.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's overcompensating for
Yeah.
something.
Because who opens the door with that big of a smile? So sometimes, like, what does she know that we don't know? Is she up to something? So that's why this body of knowledge, it's about precision. What is that combination of brightness, but at the same time seriousness, but at the same time, how do I measure the impact and understand where I'm going and what kind of energy I should bring to that room? So for example, in very corporate spaces, a lot of Americans are considered too friendly, too extra. Like, that's why. Hey, Charlie, hey, my name is... And I used to give that vibe too, because when they said fix my face, I went to another extreme. Too happy, too energetic. So excited to be talking. I would dominate conversations. Oh, my name is Yahweh, how's it going? This is what I do. And talk so fast. So I've also had to learn how to pace. If you have been the only one talking nonstop for about a minute or so in a conversation, you're talking too much. Pause, ask a question that gets the other person to interact. In these first time interactions, when you enter a space, be pleasant, not cheery. So there's a difference. We're aiming for pleasantness, not cheery. So cheer, it's smiling with teeth. Pleasant is just a bit of a, So this is a pleasant smile. And then all 32 is cheer. So less cheer and more pleasantness. Pleasantness is also your eyes, the openness of your facial expressions. Some people walk in, the eyebrows already furrowed, and that's kind of the vibe that you were giving, as opposed to, pleasant. And then, so it's this calculating of how much pleasantness versus seriousness versus resoluteness. And when they said that Evelyn came across as motherly and tired, part of what you want to think about is speed. How do you walk? Some of us need to pick up our speed. Some of us need to slow down the speed. So all of this is like trigonometry that you're doing anytime you're entering a space. And all of this adds to people's perception of you as a polished professional. So it matters. You're next. Yes.
I noticed from the comment that Jifra gave me that I needed to go back to your strategy, go into the mirror and work on the face.
Yeah.
I didn't know that something as little as pursing your lips make you look a bit, if you will, stuck up.
Yes.
And that's not the impression
Yes.
I want to put across. Now, I also observed when Joy walked in, I think there's something about how she hanged her bag, and I learned that from your previous video recently.
How to command the room.
Because I noticed that probably as she hung the bag low or on her arm, then she would look a bit less shy, or if it would bring her shoulders out and not, I don't know, there's something about her looking shy just because of the body language with which she walked in.
That's a wonderful observation. And I was saying when we were having the breakfast time this morning that this stuff should inform even your choice of bags. Your choice of how you show up in spaces, your choice of, where I'm going, the impression I want to have, is this the bag to do it? Is this because if you want speed and you want to look polished and put together, and you want to come across as leader, not subordinate, there are certain choices that you want to make. So for example, there's a woman who, I see her in photographs and things like that. She's in a key role, but she goes to conferences with backpacks on. And I think it really diminishes the impression. Backpacks are practical. Backpacks are helpful. They're convenient. But when it comes to the professional polish, if I had a chance to whisper in her ear, I would tell her to ditch the backpack. And if you absolutely must carry it by your side, not on your back. Because we're talking posture. We're talking about presentation. We're talking about how do you convey a seriousness that makes people want to take your counsel or your advice. We want you to think about the destination you're going and then work in reverse. Will this wardrobe that I currently have get me there? Will these types of ways that I show up get me there? No. Then it has to change. Because sometimes I go to these places and I do my presentation, same information, same whatever. But then when I see the photos, I say, hey, I'm not sure I would listen to me. Right? Because there are these biases that are at play, and whether we like it or not, they exist. So I'd hate for you to waste time on whether it's good or whether it's bad. It simply is. And your job is to take this information, to curate a version of you that enables you to get to the destination you aspire to. Are we good? All right, you're next.
Sorry, so many.
I'm not judging you. All right. There's hysterical laughter going on. What's going on with that? So what's your impression about her based on how she's walked into the room? Yes, ma'am. No eye contact? What does that mean to you? So what impression is she giving you? She's in her own world. Okay. Anyone else? Looking down, yes. What impression did that give you? Shy. Okay. So let's work on that. Anyone else? Based on how she entered the room, did you have a comment?
Maybe worried, like the unknown,
Worried?
like hiding.
Hiding. Some of us are hiding in plain sight. Anyone else? Shy. There's a lot of shy. Yeah? Anyone else? Some people are afraid to say something so that when they walk in, nobody will say something. This is a safe space. All right, are those the workbooks? Okay. Okay, great. You can give them out. Yeah.
Sometimes you enter the room and you want to look at everybody's head, like no one in particular.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder if that creates the same impression as just not looking at anyone.
It's actually better to look up at no one in particular than to look down. Remember, we're saying your professionalism hinges on posture. And it's hard to keep good posture when your head is down. When I look down, invariably my shoulders come down. Do you notice that? So this is me looking straight. When I start to look down, my shoulders follow. And so that's why a lot of times, especially when people are late to an event, I tell people, even if you're late, do not quench your posture for your lateness. It doesn't help you be less late when you come into the room like this. It doesn't help you be less late. You're still late. So keep the posture and just walk quickly, more quickly, as opposed to, it doesn't make you less late. So anytime you look down, it diminishes your perception of being confident, assured, and someone who is self-assured. All right, you're next. Yeah, it's been more than 5, hasn't it? All right, what are your impressions?
This one is hard.
It's hard.
I cannot, I thought she was shy by the way she bowed to greet.
Yeah, she did like a curtsy.
Yes. Like could be also politeness.
Okay. Okay.
Not sure.
You're not sure. Any of you? Anyone else? So
I didn't like the fact that she curtsied.
you did not.
Yeah.
What did it make you think or feel about her?
The subservience.
Yes.
Posture,
Yeah.
which I learned from your teaching. Yeah, probably not to curtsy. She had a beautiful smile.
Yes.
And I think her body,
well, her posture was also good until
Until the curtsy,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyone else? You had a comment back there, and then I'll come to you, Jafar. Yes. Adra. Unsure.
So the curtsy was a way of just, it was a brief moment for just.
What's the impression it created of her in your mind? I'm asking. What is the impression the curtsy created of her in your mind?
It created an impression of somebody who is maybe afraid.
Afraid, hesitant, yeah, lacking in confidence. Yeah. Excellent. That's good feedback. And I'm glad we're seeing it ourselves. Because it's easy to sit where you are and be judging people until you walk and then they say, no, 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 no. So that's why some of what we're doing today is just simply unlearning. That if I want to be relevant in more spaces than just the ones I'm comfortable in, I need to start paying attention to things that I didn't used to pay attention to, like how I enter and exit a room. All right, you're next, Eileen. You didn't realize it. All right. What are your impressions?
I love the eye contact.
You like the eye contact, okay.
Confident.
Confident. Anyone else?
I'm the head of the institution.
This is the headmistress. The headmistress has arrived. What did she do? Let's debrief it so everyone can understand.
Surprise,
Upright.
confident, made a little protective.
Right. Okay. Anyone else?
She looked down and looked out for some time.
Yes.
She came back in.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure how to do
Yes. Because there was a lot of down looking until she got to about here. Then she looked up and then greeted and went on the way. So I see what you saw too. I saw it too. And again, this is a manufactured exercise. This is not formal. But I want you to be aware that as you enter and exit any space, you're on the stage. So the way you enter, even how you're walking, you want to pay attention. Are you walking too fast? Are you walking too slow? So with you, for example, where you could walk a little faster if you can, to not make you come across as motherly and tired. Some of us need to slow it down. We're walking too brisk. We're afraid to be seen. We just want to get off the stage. So each of us will have things to tweak. And eye contact, I think, could improve with what you did. Yes. You're next, Adra. All right. What's our impression about her, Adra?
Confident.
Confident? Okay. Anyone else? Calm.
Yeah.
Okay. Not aggressive. Who in this room came off aggressive? Yeah.
Not harsh, not slow, but just calmly on steady. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
She's well put together.
Well put together. Appearance-wise? Okay. Yes. Ready. This is the second time I'm hearing ready today. What is this readiness of which we speak? What did you mean?
You have your own stats for the day.
Yes.
The person enters and you know the person just showing up.
Yeah.
You know, like they want to participate. They just want to show up.
It's like their body is here, but their mind isn't. And she seemed fully present, is what you're saying. Interesting.
Parents, and
Interesting. Yeah, thank you. Really good feedback. These are good things to be unpacking for yourself. Yes, you had your hand up as well.
There's something I noticed about when we turn to close the door, between the entry to when we turn to close the door, there's this break in how we want to be perceived.
Yes.
And I was just trying to connect that with
Flesh and blood did not reveal this to you. Flesh and blood did not reveal this. Finish your thought.
So for a moment, I saw, a nice smile. Then she turned to close the door, and it was so long closed. I'm like, okay, then, she greets. But the class, is it class? Yeah, there's also that gesture she did. And these are things, like, how you do some things without even thinking. I probably do it, but watching with the lens that she's now giving us, now gives a whole new perspective. I'm thinking, crap, I won't do that again. It's made me feel like she was shy. So the confident vibe wasn't really what I also got. Yeah. How do we stop that? Yeah.
Let's finish everyone else and we'll dig deep. I say flesh and blood didn't reveal that because that really is where I'm seeing a lot of the breakage of flow. So if you want to think about your entry and exit into spaces in terms of electricity, so people who are metaphysical teachers and people who believe in mystical sciences, they argue that we are electrical charges, right? And I'm not here to say that's good or bad or not, but I'm using it as an example to say, if we do emit this electrical charge, because why else will someone look at one person and say, she's ready, and look at another person and say, she's shy? Well, like, what do you think that is? So in other religions, they use the word aura. Have you heard that before? And they kind of pictorially describe it in energy and light. Like, so think about flow. Like, if those things were true, and I'm this electrical force coming into a space, I want to emit light. And do you know there are certain things that don't radiate? They don't conduct the light. So for example, when we've got electricians coming to our house to work, they usually keep their shoes on. And they say it gives them grounding, so that if there's some electricity that comes through the socket, they're grounded and the electrical charge won't electrocute them, because the plastic chaliwate slipper that they are wearing in the house doesn't allow the charge to flow, right? So similarly, what she's just picked up on, thank you, what she's just picked up on is one of the things that stops the flow of that power of presence. So the workbook that each of you have, Business Protocol for Professionals, could easily be titled Presence Power. Presence Power. Like, what are the things that stop the flow of your powerful presence? And some of it is things like breakages, like how you close the door. So we're going to dig deep into that, because a lot of us are dissipating the force of our power and its reception by the breakage that happens here. So because there's at least, is it just one more person, or how many more people? Is it just Stella? So we'll let Stella go through. Then I will demonstrate how I would encourage you to make your entrances from henceforth, now and forevermore. All right.
Good afternoon. Is this the class for college professionals?
Yes, miss.
Thank you. Does anyone see people there? Thank you.
All right. What are we saying?
That was innovative.
That was innovative, and she was also the last one who's been hearing all the feedback So I think let's put it in perspective as well. We're proud, but we're also not surprised. So what is the vibe and the impression that you have of her?
I'm ready to go.
Ready to go? Yes.
The flow wasn't broken.
The flow wasn't broken. What did she do differently?
Because she was able to close the door without looking back.
That is the goal. So when you enter in a space, you don't want to turn your back to the audience. That's what was breaking a lot of your flows. You would enter with good energy, then you would take away the energy and give it to the door. You get it? You see the difference? As opposed to entering with the energy, maintaining it. Without looking back, you shut the door and you move on. It's different. So your ability to, so the 3-step process for a good entrance is this. You want to enter into the space. You want to exit the doorway. You might want to find a spot to identify a person or to greet. So my problem with some of the greetings that I heard today, to no one in particular, good morning, to no one in particular. So you may want to exit the doorway, good morning, look around, do a sweep of the room, good morning. If you're late, it may be good morning. You may mouth it, and then you proceed to find a seat. So assuming I hadn't been in this room yet, unfortunately, this door is right by the stage. So if I came into a program that was already in session, I would open. So I'd open, step out of the doorway, quickly look around, good morning, or sorry, I'm late. I may mouth a sorry, apologies. And then when I sit, I would greet the people to my right or to the left, good morning, good morning. Because I'm late, I do not need to become the center of attention, especially if there's something ongoing, right? The good thing I liked about Stella's entrance, she entered a space and she said, good morning, loud enough for it to be heard. And then she said, am I in the right space? Like she's establishing, is she in the right place? Is this the venue for polished professionalism? Thank you. And then she finds an empty seat. And then she asks, is anybody sat here? I mean, she's doing the things that I would expect any of you to do if you're in an environment where you're not necessarily sure of where you're going. So asking questions, please and thank you. Good morning, you want to do the greeting, and you always want to acknowledge the people who are closest to you. So if you're sat at a table and there are people there before you, it's good to say good morning, good morning. You may even want to greet, my name is Yawa Hansen-Quao, my name is Yawa, good to meet you, pleasure to meet you. I don't know why could you get someone to look at because it's on here, but I don't see it on here, because I want to show a quick video demonstrating this as well, because this is, yes, please. Yes.
Even not so high, but probably your music breaks or what do you do? Because I've seen some people perform barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that?
If you have a wardrobe malfunction, like a shoe breaking or a tear or something, I would encourage you to gracefully exit the space if you can. So if I were on stage and I'm in my heel, and then all of a sudden a heel breaks, I would laugh it off, say something, like, wow, did not expect this to happen. And then if it obstructs my ability to deliver, I was like, please pardon me as I take off my shoes. And then it would be, so I would acknowledge it. It has happened. I'm still doing the training. You still paid to be here. It will not stop me. I will still keep going. If you are a guest and this has happened, if you can escape to a washroom or something and fix the issue or have it looked at. So for example, I was not the one facilitating, I was attending a board retreat at the Royal Senchi Hotel a few months ago. And while I was there, one of the sandals that I wore, I hadn't worn these sandals in a while. And you know what happens to shoes that you don't wear for a while? Sometimes the heat, the changes in temperature. And so I had stepped out with pink in my dress and my pink sandals, feeling good. And I'm walking majestically into the conference room, walking majestically again to the conference room. And everyone's like, wow, look at your color coordination. I'm feeling good. Then we go for coffee break. And as I walk to the coffee break, guess whose sandals snap? And so I have one leg that I'm dragging around discreetly, but I acknowledge it. I tell the meeting organizer, please excuse me. One of my sandals has torn. I'm going to make my way to my room and I'll be back. Because she's the host, she's our board chair, I reported to her. That's a polished professional. I'm leaving the space, not because I'm not trying to be part of the meeting, but I've had a wardrobe situation. She says, don't worry, don't go to your room. She's the host. So she calls our conference people and asks them to get me, the slippers you wear in the bedroom. In some of these hotels, they have those bathroom slippers. So they brought me that to wear in the conference room. And then I gave them my room key to go bring me another pair of shoes from my room. So by sharing that, she solved the problem a bit more efficiently, because otherwise I'd be walking slowly like this all the way to my room to change my shoe and come back. So usually when you have a wardrobe malfunction or something that's happened in public, don't try to hide it, acknowledge it, and try to remain as professional, especially if you're a role player, if you're someone who something is expected of in that space. You may have to excuse yourself momentarily. You may have to say, could you please excuse me? Could we take a 5-minute break? There are so many ways. So acknowledge it, try to troubleshoot and fix it, apologize if necessary. So for example, I was telling my host that please excuse me, I want to run to my room and come, but thankfully we were able to sort it differently. You may have situations, so for example, a guy walks into the room with his zip unzipped. Well, how do you do? So ideally, if you can whisper to someone of the same gender to tell that person that this has happened, it's better coming from someone who's of the same gender. Maybe you notice a woman got up and she soiled her dress. So it's better, those type of things. So if you're a gentleman and has noticed something like that, you might whisper to a woman in the vicinity to notify the woman and sort it out among themselves. Because your polished professionalism is about endearing, but at the same time, maintaining a cordiality with people. And sometimes some news is better coming from other people than you. So all of this stuff is just to acknowledge that stuff happens and not everything goes perfectly, but your job is to not be frazzled, not be overtaken, but also think about the end in mind. So that's why when we're thinking about entrance, you really want to think about what are the key points? Why is it important? It's important because you have an agenda for coming here. You have an agenda for being in that work event or the conference that you go to. And you have to think about that. I want people to think of me as, jot it down. In your workbook, there are spaces for that. Like, what do you want people to think of when they think about you, when you enter a space? What are the things that you want to be associated with your name and your brand? Because the more you begin to prepare yourself to be thought of that way, the easier it is to make the choices that will enable that to be true. All right? Oftentimes, when you're going to an event, you may also want to think. So at Protocol School of Washington, they always taught us to never go to an event hungry. You know it is hard to keep it together when you are starving. It is hard to come across as a polished professional when you are actually starving. And so they taught us to keep things in your bag like crackers. I carry dates sometimes. Dates are really good. They give you a sugar boost without raising your blood pressure your blood sugar abnormally. So dates are a good piece of things, sometimes nuts. Something in the bag that I can at least have something. And then so that when I am at an event and all I'm holding is this bottle of water, I can actually be okay because I'm not dying, right? So think, when you're making an entrance, does my breath smell okay? If someone were to get close to me, I was at a conference the other day and someone sat by me. I don't know what it was about her breath, but her breath changed the atmosphere around us. And we were in a prayer, it was a church event, it was a prayer summit. And so we're praying, and I kept hearing, because when you're praying and so I thought to myself, it would be very rude for me to get up and move a seat. But this was hard. This was kind of hard. And so sometimes you want to be sensitive to that. Maybe you're in a period of prolonged fasting or something. You've not had food. Keep your mouth moisturized. Sometimes I carry cinnamon sticks, especially if I'm fasting and not really eating. So I carry cinnamon sticks and I just chew on cinnamon. It releases a slow release of spice into my breath so that my mouth doesn't smell putrid and foul because I've not, not been eating or don't have any, haven't been opening my mouth for a while. Well, I try to avoid all the sugars in the gums. So like the mints and the gums have artificial sweeteners. So that's why I would sometimes chew cloves or cinnamon. Cinnamon smells more pleasant. So if I'm going to be out and about, I might just carry some cinnamon and just have it under my breath, under my tongue for a while. And you can chew on it for quite a while. If it's like chewing gum, but a gum that's not stuck together. So cinnamon I found to be a really good replacement because if I'm fasting and I'm not eating that day, I still don't want to have bad breath. So think about that as you're going about your polished professionalism journey. I'm not saying that you have to not give people the best of you at all times. I really want you to think of how can I modify what I'm doing and how I'm presenting so that I can, be well received everywhere I go. All right. So when you're making entrances, as you've seen from this example, everybody walked in and out. And in very few words, we were debriefing things that had to do with your posture. Those who looked down had lower posture, so we thought they were shy. Those who stood up came across as the headmistress or the boss or the ready, So you've got to think, where am I going and how do I want to be perceived? So I got some feedback from one of my mentors who said, Yawa, you're very confident and all of that, but in this type of environment, I would encourage you to tone it down, because she heard someone say something about me at this event that I came to. She said, Yawa, you need these people. And if they are feeling a little intimidated by how you come, and so I'm a little less, not that I have bad posture and all of that, but in those spaces, I try to come across a bit more cheery. I might do some of this in that posture because it's a very local, traditionally minded space. And so that's what I mean about being well briefed about where you're going and how do you make the best impression in that space. That these are older men. These are men of a certain age that look at women with a certain eye. They have a certain bias. And so it's not me in my 2-minute walk that will change their mindset about those biases that they hold. But it's for me to acknowledge it. And when I'm in those environments, handle myself differently. Do you understand? So each of you needs to really understand, where is it that you're doing most of your work? Where are you showing up the most? What places do you need to be perceived as powerful? One of the things the image consultant did with me was also on scent and perfume. And I know some of you were saying a few moments ago, when the man smells good. You can't help yourself. And it's true, scents have a very strong impact on how you're perceived as well. And so when I was working with my image consultant, she took me through scents. When you've got business meetings and things like that, these are the types of scents to use when you want to be perceived this way. And it's so true. When I wear certain scents for certain things, it just changes the vibe and the atmosphere. So there's this body of knowledge that I encourage you to start building upon. That in my sphere of influence, in my industry, in my business, in the sector that I want to be found relevant in, how do I really position myself for success? A lot of us struggle when there's a buffet. When we see a buffet, when we see all of the foods that we love, we struggle to remain polished. And so that's why even the way you approach a buffet, I would encourage you to start, you go to a buffet line, you are looking, I hope the tilapia isn't finished, or you're looking, someone's in front of you, someone's behind you. Hi, meet people, greet. You are there to meet. Some of you can't believe this. Some of you cannot accept this. Some of you don't want to hear this. But you are there to meet, not to eat. And so the goal is, how do I continue to, and especially when you go to a lunch or something and you've not eaten, one of the things that happens is invariably you drop your posture. You go to the food instead of letting the food come to you. So posture is not just for your entrances and exits, it's also for your posture at the table. A lot of us make a lot of mistakes and it's like, we can't take these people anywhere. Or you go to places where the impression of you, so there's a lot of HR thinking these days that says you can tell everything you need to learn about a person by watching how they eat. So you think that, the Lord has done it. Today we are going to so-and-so, so-and-so, they've got a great buffet, and you come with a mountain on your plate, you're sending a wrong signal. So think, especially when you have opportunity to eat, buffet or bar. The bar situation is what I was demonstrating earlier. Take a drink or an edible, never both. Oftentimes, if you'll take both, it has to be able to fit comfortably in one hand. So there's some, I don't know if you've been to an event where they have those type of saucers that have a space for the cup. That's the only environment that I will encourage you to ever have both, because that can be comfortably held in one hand without having to juggle. So you always want to keep your right hand free where possible. That's why we say one or the other. So posture matters, even when you're eating, even when you're stood up and drinking, even when you're at the dining table. So it's not just for the entrance and exits. Okay? You had your hand up. What was your question?
There was a previous thing you said about you meeting some people in your mentor saying, and you meet these people. So in essence, what you're saying is that you should be aware of our audience.
That's exactly what we're saying about entrances. What is your agenda? What is your agenda? Do you need these people? How are they perceiving you? The person who introduced me to that space gives me feedback that these people think you're a bit too, so tone it down. These people, they're not as exposed as you. They're not as well traveled as you. So this, your polished professionalism, can you tailor it to this type of, got it? So that's the space where you might find me with my hand behind my back when I'm talking to some of these guys, because they're of that age and that exposure level that's what respect looks like. You might find me in that space stood like this, doing some of these things, talking not loudly, waiting to be spoken to before I speak to, because in that space, culturally, I'm perceived as a young one. I'm perceived as I need to make them feel like they are more important. You get what I mean? So I want us to be relevant in more spaces. That's what the goal is. And that's what winning looks like. That you can read rooms and understand which version of yourself to present. So let's watch this video. I pray it plays. Yeah, this is the president of the Protocol School of Washington. Her name is Pamela Eyring. And this is a video of her entering and exiting a room. I'm trying to connect to my phone. I don't know if that's why it's not playing. I'm going to hotspot my phone and see if that... Okay, let me see. Okay. Cellular data person. Okay. Let's see if that helps. All right. No. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So basically, I want to show you visually what we just all demonstrated. And if there are questions, I'll take it while he helps me set up the internet. Yeah. Can you see? 9377. All right. Notice where her hands are. You see? I know most of us would be like this by now. Most of us would be, so practice that at home. Practice that, stand in front of that mirror, shake the body, and just get comfortable with walking with your hands by your side, moving into spaces. Yes, please. Okay, can we listen to the question? Yes.
Posture. How do we check if our posture is right? Because some of us naturally sort of
Slump.
Slouch while we're walking, and sometimes I'm not too sure how should I stand. It's not too much like putting out the chest.
Yes.
What is the right posture?
I would encourage us to watch this and try to model this, because she's not out there like, but it's just as much as possible. And one of the things they used to do for young women as they were becoming mature for marriage is the exercise of walking with a book on your head. Like, can you walk without it shifting or falling? Because when you've got good posture, you're able to see alignment from head to toe. So you want to think shoulders squared, hands at your side, and you'll know you're doing it right, partly when you're able to have less of, if you stand, I don't want to trip over this. If you were to stand with your back to a wall, you should have no gaps but the gap in your lower back here. So the lower you go, you'll find that there's gaps between your shoulders and the wall. You want no gap but the gap in your lower back here, where your spine naturally curves in, right? So sometimes this is the stuff you practice in your room with your full-length mirror, and you stand and you self-correct. Okay, just get comfortable standing like this. And when I'm seated, help me get comfortable being seated uprightly, because oftentimes you go to these formal events and the photos come back and you say, oh my goodness, I am such a slouch. And that's why, now that I'm very aware, I always go with like a shawl or something, because sometimes you see the photos and you're like, oh my goodness, I've given a free show. And so usually you cross at the ankles. It's considered rude if you cross your legs this way with your legs over each other and the under of your feet are being seen. So you don't want to let people see underneath your shoe. So if you can't comfortably cross with your legs downward, you don't cross at all this way. You would cross at the ankles. Okay? So sitting upright means you're likely not going to be all the way inside your seats this way. When my bum is all the way in the back of the seat and I'm leaned back, well, this is not ideal because this leans as I lean. But ideally, you want to think about that hump in your lower back as the only space that should exist when you're sat upright. I usually encourage that when you're sitting, you want to come nearer to the edge of your seat and cross. It gives you extra volume. So that when you're behind a chair, behind a table, when you're behind a table, your bust upwards looks straight. So think newscaster on TV. Think interviewer in a very formal, moderated panel. Think that. and model that. So that when you're getting tired and all of that, and then you're tempted to, you just bring yourself back up. Because at the dining table, your posture matters. In an interview, so have you ever been interviewing someone and then they're sat like this? I know I'm good, I know I'm hot. It's like the 90s rapper vibes. It is 90s rapper vibe. It's like this. And a lot of us are erring on the side of informality. You meet someone for the first time. Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. And what I've had to watch out for is my use of the word chale. Chale has entered into my speaking patterns, that I'm in very formal spaces and then the word chale just pops out of my mouth. So most recently, and I'm talking about a demon I am casting out right now. I'm at a formal environment and chale has entered into my speech as like I tell you, chale. And that's relevant in this environment, but not necessarily at an international conference. So the other day I was speaking, there's this foundation in the US that invited me to be a guest speaker. They invited me to be a guest speaker for one of their conferences they were hosting in Ghana. I counted chale 3 times. And so the other day, so the woman at the end said, "What was so nice to see? What is this chale that you're talking about?" You know, she's from Latin America, the organizer. So what is the chale? This was such a good speech, and the chale. What is the meaning of the chale? And I caught myself, but it had already 3 times. So this is the current demon that I have to cast out from my international speaking. Because look, in this context, it's cool. It may even endear me to some of you, right? Because you know I'm one of you. But internationally, so for example, I was working with a client who I was helping prepare for a board presentation and a conference that she had to go to. And this conference is on illegal mining. And all through her slides, she had the word galamsey. And I said, well, I know what that means because I live in Ghana. That's a very Ghanaian term. Have you seen this in the dictionary anywhere? Can you show me where it says galamsey is illegal mining? And so we had to correct all of her slides and and I said, I know, because I'm dealing with chale, you have to help me. So I told her that me too. I know the things that we just say all the time that come into our conversation. And so for some of us, it's things like I was like. The misuse of the word like has made us speak more like juveniles than, so it's juvenile speech. Yes, you know, because I did a presentation for my Elevate. I have a mentoring circle that she's a part of. And I was telling them that some of you aren't leveling up because you have juvenile speech patterns instead of leader language. And so for some of you, I feel like I was like, it's very conversational, very pedestrian, but not very leader language. So each of us has demons we must cast out of our language in our presentation. My current one is the word chale. Yes.
You made for Africa Leadership Conference.
Yes.
You moderated something, Khaled from CTA.
Yes.
And I'd say that your use of the word chale is what made me like you.
Oh, okay.
Because prior to it, you were very professional, very yawa. But then there was a point where there was a certain time where you just went like chale.
Yes.
The whole room just erupted into laughter.
Right. And I use that very calculatedly because of feedback that sometimes I get locally. So I think I've had the challenge in my career of swinging the pendulums. I'm very this, then I become very that, and I'm trying to bring myself back into a balance. So when I'm doing local speaking engagements, that's where the chale really became entrenched into my language, because a lot of the speaking I was doing was in Ghana. And so chale, I did go, I did come. I know some of you are sitting there thinking, chale, this is too much. And that endears you because I'm reading your mind, but I'm saying it to you in a way that you would likely be speaking to yourself. But I've done it to the extent that now I'm noticing that when I'm in international environments, Chale still exists. So remember at the beginning this morning, I talked to you about how do you become relevant in more spaces than just the one. And some of you have global ambitions. Some of you are on that pathway towards global leadership. And I want you to be able to adopt the mannerisms, the speech patterns, and the composure and comportment that will help you be relevant in those spaces in addition. So for example, when I finger snapped the president, thankfully, I was able to think on my feet and say, Your Excellency, I was just showing you how we greet in Ghana. And it became a laughable matter. But have you ever had a nervous sweat around your neck that felt like fire? I felt like the ground should open and swallow me now. So some of these become teachable moments of endearment as it happened with you, because I remember that. And I remember how the mood shifted. That who is this? Because that's what I have going against me sometimes. As someone who learned how to speak English in the US, as someone who has been working on her speaking and tries to keep it professional, sometimes I swing to the other side where people think she's out of touch. She's extra. She's too... So sometimes I bring in those things to make me more relatable. But I'm noticing that this is becoming a real thing, that when I am in international environments, I can't shake it. So that's the balance that I want you to think about, especially if maybe your ambition is to become a speaker as well. How do I say things differently? If everyone's response to how are you is I am fine, can you think of at least 3 different ways? So you can outclass your competition. If everyone says, I am fine, I am well, doing well, thank you, and you, how do you do? Think of different ways that you can come across looking different, sounding different, and giving the kind of impression on people that ticks the boxes. So each of you should think about what are the top 3 descriptive words that I would love for people to say about me when they've encountered me. Because I really want to dethrone this idea of me as standoffish and arrogant. And I love it when people say she's warm and she's friendly, meaning, okay, it's working. It's working because I smile more by habit now. I smile more. I try to, have more friendly, open facial expressions. Because the truth is, who knows how many doors I closed to myself by just being cerebral and poker-faced all the time. And for some spaces, some people have the opposite. They're too friendly. Everywhere they go, they're smiling. They can't be taken seriously. And so, for example, I was at an event where someone I know, love, and admire was also at the event. And after, there's a very distinguished person who spoke at the event, a very illustrious Ghanaian man. And she goes up to the man and says, oh, and she starts speaking fancy with him. And says something laughable, but she didn't have that kind of relationship with the person. And I could see the person's stone cold face towards her. I felt embarrassed for her because, again, you should note a couple of things about power. Friend in power is a friend lost. Even if you did have that relationship, a friend in power is a friend lost. And this is coaching, free coaching that I want to add to what you're learning today, that you might have gone to school with a person. You might have you went to nursery school or secondary school or whatever, but that person now is an honorable minister of state. So in public, you address them by their office. And the call to that informality of years before is actually bad etiquette. It's a breach of protocol. So a lot of my friends, we've got friends that have been appointed to ministerial positions and things like that. And now they are honorable so-and-so. I address them as honorable so-and-so. They will say, oh, yeah, but I don't want to err on, there are protocols. Remember, I talked about protocol and etiquette. Protocols are based on orders of precedence. And by orders of precedence, this person occupies an office. So one of our friends got appointed to a position And I booked lunch, for two of us wanted to take her out to lunch. And I said, is there someone with whom we should coordinate this? Because I'm not beyond coordinating this through her secretary or her assistant. I want to respect her office. I have her cell phone. And I text, Honorable, I just wanted to check if there's anyone else. We booked the lunch and all of that. I remember when she got to the restaurant, everyone knows her because they see her on TV. She comes to the restaurant. I escort her because I know polished professional host duties. So I escort her to the table. When people start trying to come to our table, I say things like, may I take your card and make sure that Honorable's office gets in touch with you? Because I don't want to be associated with these people need protection. This is not her being too known. This is not her being extra, but a friend in power is a friend lost. And a lot of us are making the mistake, hey, she's changed, hey, just because of this. Yes, because of that, she needs to change. These people are always in the public eye. They're always under scrutiny. They've got people always. So when I invite her to stuff, she comes because she knows I protect her. Do you see the difference? But my other friends are bad mouthing and say, she doesn't even pick my call. She doesn't even this. Do you understand the weight of public office? Do you understand the weight of CEO-ship? So I really want you to understand that the polish of your professionalism is also how you respond to office holders, right? So you coordinate. Is there someone else with whom I should coordinate this appointment? I would let, Elisha, who works for me, sometimes coordinates through but if it's with them, I'm the one doing the communication because orders of precedence. I shouldn't put someone who isn't at my rank to be dealing with that person of rank. So sometimes you're losing business because you're being too informal or you're not respecting the orders of precedence. You're not operating in a way that makes the person feel like you fully appreciate the gravity of who you're dealing with. So I want you to win, not just for yourself, but also in how you deal with people who you will come into contact with that have power, authority, rank, and status. Because it changes the game when you invite them to something and you know how to seat them. You'll see in the workbook, there's a visual of a car. Where does the most important person sit? Where does the guest of honor sit, even when they're seated in the vehicle? When you're at a table, how do you seat them? There's a rule of where the most important person sits. So this is stuff you don't really think about because you're like, but we all went to the thing, we all did this, and these are unspoken rules. So they're holding unspoken offense at how you have handled them. And you don't know why they don't want to come to your event anymore. You don't know why they don't want to operate with you or have rapport with you or respond to your messages. So this stuff matters. Because sometimes we're so informal to the point where, and we say, that's how they are. When they get small posts, they change. They haven't changed. The demands of the office require you to operate with them differently. I had someone complaining to me the other day. This woman, we went to secondary school together, and she's this, and this. And I was in the audience, and I was waving her, and she didn't even mind me. I said, number one, you went to kindergarten with this person. Number two, do you think the number of people they meet on a daily basis, do you think, you've not been in touch with her for years, and then she's ranting in our old students group that, they've changed. Then I said, may I respectfully offer you a different opinion? And I shared this with her and she got quiet. She said, Yawa, you have to deliver people. Do you see the difference? Because when you understand the rules of power, you can function anywhere. There's a local proverb that says, if a young person washes their hand, well, they can eat with kings. This is the hand washing that we're doing today. I want you to be relevant so that when you serve people with power, rank, status, opportunity, you know how to operate in a way that makes them want to keep you in their company. A lot of people, last year I did an event in Kenya, and it was hosted by the Director General of the UN in Kenya. People are like, hey, you've come all the way from Ghana. How do you know this person or what? These same rules are what have helped me build rapport with her. It's opened doors to where heads of state, very high-ranking government and business leaders I have connection to because they know that I will respect what I hear when I'm in their presence. I will know when to shut up, know when to speak, and understand how to orchestrate the space with decorum so that there's a comfort in being around. And I want that for you too. Because some of you are going to move into international dimensions. You're probably there, but maybe the vibe you're giving off is capping how far you're going. That's why this stuff matters. Are we good?
Great.
All right. Let's see if my video will play. Oh dear.
Yo, I also noticed that you rarely say any ums in your speech, which is very rare. So I congratulate you for that. How have you been able to get rid of all of those?
Those are what we call filler words. You're saying something, but you're not really saying something. You know what I'm saying? And then, filler words. And I credit Toastmasters with helping me with that. For those of you who aren't familiar with Toastmasters, it's an international public speaking organization. They have different chapters around the world, including in Ghana. They've grown in Ghana considerably. Many of the chapters also have virtual meetings, so especially post-COVID. So now it's easier to be part of it. And I would recommend it because in every Toastmasters meeting, you have the opportunity to speak. There's always someone who they call the counter. When you've come to the stage to give they are actually documenting the number of ums. And I used to be a recalcitrant sayer, a sayer of filler words. And so at the end of every meeting, the person who came here to give the first speech, she said 12 times. She said, you know what I'm saying, 2 times. She said, and having that environment where it was brought to the fore, how often I'm using filler words really helped. So usually when you don't have the next word to say yet, pause. When you get the word, speak. It makes you come across as thoughtful and reflective. When you are filling the words with ums, not saying anything, it makes you come across as disorganized. So pause. The purposeful pause makes you come across as reflective, distinguished. So if the word isn't coming yet, pause. So I credit Toastmasters with helping me with that. And the mirror practice, sometimes I can give my whole presentation to myself in my room just to see how it flows. Okay, when I get here, I'll tell this story. Okay, no, that story didn't sound. And then sometimes I feed off the energy in the room. They seem more interested in this. Let me tell a little bit more about this. But I've had years to get here, so I'd encourage you to at least start with mirror practice, especially for those of you who want to get more comfortable speaking in public, speaking in front of people, speaking to audiences. And it may start with little things like volunteering at church to read the announcements. Who wants to give the vote of thanks? Raise your hand. Put yourself in those environments where you have to speak, because the more you do it, the easier it gets. And you can spend less time thinking about what you'll say and more time on how you'll say it, right? For some reason, my videos are not playing. And for the sake of time, I might skip them. But it was really just to demonstrate how I entered and exited the room. This one is a video on how to mingle. I wish it would play. Can you get Elisha? I don't know if it's the internet or... Can you get Elisha to see if he knows what to do to make it play?
Maybe you have to click on.
So for some of us, it's just learning how to get comfortable. Being who we are, comfortable, acting deliberately, confidently, and being able to hold our own in spaces where other people may seem unsure. Because many of you are role models, whether you like it or not. There are people looking up to you, especially young women, young people looking up to you as mentors. And when they spend time in your atmosphere, we want them to take more than just the things that come out of your mouth. They're watching. They're watching how you talk to people on the phone. They're watching when they have a meal, how you're eating, how you're interacting with your food on your plate. They're watching how you enter and exit a space. They're watching. And so the truth is we're all on stage. We're all being seen. And impressions about us are being made. So the goal of this is so that the impressions about you are as positive as possible. So whether you like it or not, it matters. So let's watch President of the Protocol School of Washington, Pamela Eyring, with her entry and exit into a room. I think this is the spot.
When making an entrance, walk confidently, head up, right hand free. When I enter a room, I always move to the right or left and pause. Pausing gives me a chance to find key people in the crowd. It also gives key people a chance to see me. Hello, may I join you? Absolutely. Thank you. I'm Pamela Eyring. Hi, Pamela. Mario Melendez. Nice to meet you, Mario. Hello, I'm Pamela Eyring. Hi, Michelle Nolan. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, Michelle. Hello, I'm Pamela Eyring. Okay, perfect. Nice to meet you, Fred.
You see where everybody's hands were? Everyone's hands, when they weren't in use, were right beside them. And she walked, she paused, she looked, she walked where she wanted to go. She looked up, she had a pleasant smile. She did show us teeth, but it wasn't, it was a light smile. And then she introduced herself. What did you notice about how she introduced? Full name to each person each time. Usually, a lot of us, hi, I'm Yawa. Hi, I'm Yawa. Hi is not formal enough. Hey. Hey is like, hey, what's up? Welcome to my podcast. My name is Yawa. So hello, or good afternoon, good evening, good morning is what we want to aim for, especially when it's a first time encounter. All right? So again, you step out of the doorway, you observe the space, you identify where you want to go, you introduce yourself. Let's look at her mingling as well. Because the way you mingle, remember what I said about small talk? We said small talk leads to what? Big talk. So the way you, yes. Was it here? Okay, I think this might be it. Had a pleasant enough smile, and she identified where she wanted to start in the room. She did not lower her posture. She kept erect.
Mario Melendez. Making an entrance, walk confidently, head up, right hand
This is the
free.
same one.
When I enter a room, I always move to the right or left and pause. Pausing gives me a chance to find key people in the crowd. It also gives key people a chance to see me. Hello, may I join you? Absolutely. Thank you. I'm Pamela Eyring. Hi, Pamela. Mario Melendez. Nice to meet you, Mario. Hello, I'm Pamela Eyring. Hi, Michelle Nolan. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, Michelle. Hello, I'm Pamela Eyring. Okay, perfect. Nice to meet you, Fred.
Great. So I hope you get it, and I hope that that's helpful to you. So that's a key for power presence when you're entering a space for the first time. Now we want to look at your mingling. You know, a lot of us struggle. So take a look at this and prepare yourself, because oftentimes many of us struggle with small talk. What do you talk about when you meet someone for the first time?
Making an entrance, walk
It's the
confidently.
same video.
Head up, right hand free. When I enter a room, I always move to the right or left and pause. Pausing gives me a chance to find key people in the crowd.
Everyone, good to see you. I'm Tyler Ryan with the TRC.
Okay. You're in. Some of you may be in a sales role. Your job requires you to be selling. So again, practice is key to this. So let me show you a quick video on a really great, professional way to introduce yourself.
When introducing yourself, you want to say your first and last name as well as your organization. Let me demonstrate. Hello, I'm Pamela Eyring. I'm with the Protocol School of Washington.
Everyone, good to see you. I'm Tyler Ryan with the TRC.
Oh yes, I've seen your company advertised. Thank you. How do I get to the school?
You see that? Simple, right? Before the small talk starts, you introduce yourself, full name, business association. It doesn't have to be laborious. It also doesn't have to be too theatrical, okay? I hope this makes sense, and I hope this has been delightful. Now we're looking at
When you're making introductions of two persons, you want to keep your hand gestures low and not excessive, such as waving your hands back and forth or pushing two people together to meet. Watch how I demonstrate making an introduction. I'm using higher authority's name first, our mayor. Mayor Townsend, I would like to introduce to you our newest resident in our city. Please welcome Mr. Mario Melendez.
Mr. Melendez, thank you for being accompanied to our city. Oh, excited to be here. Glad to have you.
See how simple, see how smooth that was? So again, those hand gestures. So the protocol for introductions is the person who has greater authority receives the person of lesser authority. So when I'm introducing myself to someone, I'm not introducing the great person to me. I am being introduced to them. And it's just a small tweak that makes a world of difference in how people perceive you. And so in this example, she's introducing the mayor to a businessman who's just come to the city. And so the person of greater authority there is the mayor because of his rank and status. And so he's presenting the businessman to the mayor because he's the person of greater rank and authority. Do we understand that? In your workbooks, there are more examples of it so that you begin to incorporate that into how you speak, especially when you have the opportunity to introduce people to each other. You really want to think about rank and status because the protocol is you have to respect the orders of precedence. Does it make sense? All right. Is it helpful to see the visuals? Yes? Right. And one thing that I want you to note, she didn't just barge on a group of people talking. I have come. May I join you? My name is Yawa Hansen-Quao. My name is Yawa. She introduced herself fully and formally each time. So asking permission to join groups that have already formed is part of your etiquette. Was there a hand? Yes, please. Orders of precedence. It's in your workbook, actually. Precedence. Precedence. So which precedes the other? Precede means go before. So the order of who goes before what, because in rank and authority. So that's the example that I gave this morning, that some events you'll go to and the acknowledgements are done in order of rank. Not because this person is more important than you, but they hold a higher office than you. And so in your workbook, you'll see examples of who, if I have all of these people of these different ranks, which rank precedes the other. So that's why at these formal events that you go to, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, honorable ministers of state, chief executives of blah, 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 esteemed religious and traditional rulers, etc. I spent a lot of time going through that. In fact, each of us who graduated from Protocol School of Washington is given a handbook, and it's this thick, of protocols, because this is the stuff that's becoming a lost art, especially in this WhatsApp world. Most people invite you now to their wedding with a WhatsApp picture. Come to my party. But they gave us how to even buy the kind of stationery. When you actually are invited to something, sending a handwritten thank you note for the invitation. Because in this day of electronic communication is actually considered less formal. And so when you really want to stand out from the crowd, I remember there was one year I spoke at this event and got a handwritten note from Reverend Dr. Joyce Arye. Wow. Okay. It's a lost art because those of us young ones now, we grew up on email, we grew up on texting and WhatsApp. In fact, these days to receive a call is odd. It's like, why are you calling me? Just text me, just message me, just WhatsApp me, etc. But the world of business hasn't changed as quickly. And so those who are doing well in the world of business are those who understand these. Just this weekend, I went to a friend's 50th birthday party, and she had a handwritten note, one for me, one for my husband. And it just made us feel overjoyed. She could have texted the same thing to us on WhatsApp, but it just hit differently. And I was like, I see what the old people, maybe I am getting old, but I see what they mean now. It just hit differently. She had something for me, something for my husband, personal to us, something for each of my kids. I thought, wow. So think about this polished professionalism journey as really, how do I distinguish myself? Everyone sends WhatsApp. Everyone is doing the texting. What can I do differently? Handwritten notes are a game changer, especially in a world that's gone fully digital. I realized that we would send emails to certain companies, invite your people to enroll for our course and whatnot. And then one of my mentors told me, yeah, what, you think companies are as fancy as you, eh? You think many of them are still using fax and are still documenting, minuting things. And these are the companies that have money. So we've now started writing handwritten letters, sending them to the offices and things like that. And the response has been encouraging. So I was like, wow, okay, so maybe there's a fine balance here that many of us need to start recognizing. That your peer levels and below, Gen Z and all of that, they understand all of the high techness. But those who have the money and wealth and command the resources at this present time grew up with a different set of ethics, a different expectation level. Many of them have office computers that are decorative. Somebody checks the email for them and prints it out, and it comes on their desk for them to minute on it what they want to say. And some of you can't even imagine it, but this is happening in 2025. And the more work I'm doing with government agencies, it's not just hearsay, I see it. One of my clients works at a very senior level in a public institution here in Ghana. Anytime I'm in her office, I am flabbergasted by the amount of paper on the desk. And because they deal with very strategic things, they said they are required by law to have a paper trail. And so it really helped disabuse my mind, because I'm a 40-something. I'm not terribly young either, but I'm so used to the WhatsApping, the emailing. I check my email like a religion. I check it all through the day. It pings up, I respond. And so I don't understand non-responsiveness on email. But now as I'm coaching clients on the other side, I'm seeing what they see. I'm understanding their point of view. That's why I want you to speak multiple languages here. I want you to be able to flow with those for whom email is the native tongue, and then flow with those who need paper, who need to see things in writing. And so oftentimes you may be limiting yourself because you're doing all your business online and on Instagram and on whatnot, and advertising at people who think you're cute but will never buy, because the people that will actually buy from you are still analog and they still respect a different way of interfacing. And the more I'm beginning to key into that, the more I'm finding that actually there is still so much untapped business I leave on the table because I've not been meeting them in the language that they are familiar with, which are handwritten letters, and then letters back. And then they send you something via fax or what do you call scan copy, because their orientation requires them to do that. Is this good? Is this helpful?
Yeah.
Good. I know we're a few minutes to time. I think there might be one more video to watch. So I will give you access to this recording. Again, please treat it as confidential because we are not allowed to formally share. I think that was the last video. So when it comes to your mingling proficiency, we want to be mindful of a couple of facts. When it comes to conversations with people you are meeting for the first time, you never want to engage in conversations about specific things. Okay, we've gone over the videos. Okay, let me enlarge this. All right, so we've established that the protocol for business introductions are governed by orders of precedence. And the person of greater authority is the person that receives the one of lesser authority. That is the formula. And so in order to exemplify this, you really have to know who's who and respect the offices. So when I'm with my friend, the Honorable Minister, I would say, Honorable so-and-so. This is my friend, so-and-so. I would like to introduce to you this person, not this person to you. I'm presenting them to you, the greater authority. Okay? So let me make sure you understand which of these is correct. Person of greater authority, their name always comes first, and they receive the person of lesser authority. If that is true, which of these is correct? How many of you say the third one? Okay. How many of you say the second one? How many of you say the first one? Okay.
The full name.
The full name
Yeah. It's the first.
is the first one. The correct answer is this one. The third one. The correct answer is the third one. And the third one, thank you. The correct answer is the third one. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Jones. I'm presenting Miss Smith to Mr. Jones. That's the tweak that a lot of us don't get. So I'd like to introduce to you, I am presenting to you, Mr. Jones, Miss Smith. The person who's of greater authority is mentioned first. So, Honorable Minister, I would like to introduce to you our new head of protocol, Madam Edna Jones, right? So the protocol is the person of greater rank is mentioned first, and it is introduced to you, the person, not the person to you, right? And it's explained in your workbook, so I have no fears that if you need to go back, you'll be able to get it. We watched this video already. Let me move forward quickly. All right, so we're ending today with networking tips. Now, oftentimes, those of us who are wallflowers, who like to cling to a person, I want us to repent. Can the church say amen? Amen. And the reason why I'm calling you into repent, quote unquote, about that is you do not know the realm of opportunity you are preventing yourself from experiencing by sticking to people you already know. So if you are a mentee of mine and I invite you somewhere, don't think that I'm spending the whole evening with you. I will release you into the wild and say, go meet and greet, because I'm meeting and greeting because I already know you. I came with you. I didn't come to be stuck at the hip to you at this event. And the reason why that's important, especially for those of us whose lives may be set up such that we go to work, we come home. We go to work, we come home. When you do have the opportunity to network, don't waste that precious opportunity with people you already have a relationship with. Because your next promotion, the next opportunity, a new insight could be in the mouth of someone you meet at that space. So networking is not a nice to have. It's an essential for all of us polished professionals. And some of the things that help you become a better networker is your ability to remember names. Some of us, I can feel the pain in the room. I can feel the pain in the room. So sometimes it's just repeating the name as often as possible, integrating their name into the conversation as much as possible. If you're at a conference and they're wearing a name tag, keep referring to the name tag so that you are able to remember. I like to put notes on people's business cards. Never do that in front of them. That is considered rude. But I like to, when I leave the space, we spoke about this, and this. I want to email them our Standout Women's Leadership Program brochure. Or I spoke to them about this. And then I try to keep detailed notes. When you save the contact on your phone, I use the note portion. There's a part about notes. Met at Designer Life Conference in 2022, when I spoke to me about blah, 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 blah. has a special needs son like me. We talked about that. So that when the phone is ringing or I'm going back to a message, who at all was this person again? Then I can go back to the notes that I saved. So part of this is just having the discipline to listen intuitively and then also document it, because our brains were designed to forget 70% of what we hear within a 48-hour period. That's why I was telling you, I want you to write, record, and recreate some of what you're learning so that at home you're reminding yourself of the things that we learned for the dining table. I tell my daughter, she's about 12 now, so she's at the age where she can understand these things, that tonight we're eating fancy. So we lay the table, we do all of the things so that I can also be reminding myself what's the best thing. Because I'm not always in fancy places. I'm not always going to these fancy events. So some of what will help you retain this body of knowledge is your ability to recreate it as often as possible. So some of the tips to remember names is focus on the person, repeat their name as often, and take detailed notes. Business card protocol is critical because there is a way that we give and receive a business card. I would hate for any of you as polished professionals to go to an event and be making it rain with your business card. Business card is not for making it rain, right? You take your business card. I do think I have my business card holder in my bag. Let's see if I can access it really quickly. So anytime you have the opportunity to give your business card, hopefully you all have a business card holder. If you don't, I'd encourage you to invest in one because it keeps the edges of your card from becoming frayed. So I invest in a double-sided card because I do two main things. So on this side, it's my information for Leading Ladies Network. And my designer did a really great photo thing. So I've got a photo on this side and a photo on that side. I'm not saying you have to do this. This might also be discriminatory, like I don't want to work with this black person, right? But oftentimes, if you're giving your business card, it's usually at the tail end of a conversation where you've both mutually established that you want to remain in touch. So I know that a lot of us go to business meetings and before we start, we just put down the cards like, yeah, this is who I am. This is who I am. This is me.
Bad like that.
I would encourage you, maybe in this context, I tell people, if you're not the boss, follow the boss's lead. If that's what your boss is doing, this is not arming you to be critical of your boss. But in international context, you typically want to reserve the business card for the end of a conversation where you've mutually established that you want to remain connected. So for example, could I borrow you for a second, please? So I might, after having a good first time conversation with, after having a good first time, it was such a pleasure to meet you. I'd love to stay in touch with you. Do you happen to have a business card on you?
I don't.
Well, do you mind if I give you mine? So you can contact me on either email, on either side, but I would love to set up some time to speak further about what we've just discussed.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you as
I
well.
look forward to meeting you. and speaking
Likewise. Thank you. Right? So it's usually at the end of a conversation. Can you come back up so I can demonstrate the protocol? No, with the card. So typically, you want to give the card in, if your card has, is this horizontal or horizontal? So my information is horizontal. So I present it to her horizontally. Your business card is considered a representation of you. That's why you want the edges to be straight. It shouldn't have smudges. Sometimes you have makeup or smudges and, so you don't ever want to give a card that is smudged, has writing on it, or has wrong information. And so you give the card in the direction of the text. So because mine is horizontal, that's why I handed it to her this way. If it were this way, I would hand it to her this way, vertically. In some cultures, it's seen as a sign of respect to hand over the card with two hands. So Asian cultures, you do a two-handed giving of the card. And you receive the card in the same way it's being presented. So if I'm giving it with two hands, you receive it with two hands because this is me. And I'm giving you me with two hands and you receive me with two hands. Right? And so you might, for example, receive the business card of someone. It is appropriate and welcome to say, what is your preferred way? Would you rather I call or text you? Would you rather I email? And sometimes when you're confirming, someone may say, let me give you the right number. Because some people, they've got numbers on here that you'll never reach them directly. Especially people that have a lot of people trying to get at them. They often give a number which is a landline to a location they never are at. Or their number may go to an executive assistant, someone who's a gatekeeper, so sometimes by verifying what the best way to stay in touch is, the person may give you a different contact. If I am high authority, you typically will not be asking me for my business card. With whom in your office may I follow up? That is the question. So I would love to follow up. Well, Your Excellency, thank you for your comments on this and your invitation to join you in September for the conference in Namibia. With whom may I follow up on this matter? And then they may, assistant, come here and they will give you their card. So it's very rarely that a person of very high office and authority, especially if you rank lowly. So for example, in Namibia a few months ago, I met the Deputy Secretary General for the United Nations. High-ranking woman, high-ranking, and that's how I asked it. She invited me verbally to come to an event in New York this September. And the question is not, give me your card. The question is, with whom may I follow up on this matter, right? And then when I asked it that way, she said, no, take my cell phone. So it's only when they are the ones inviting you to that level of closeness. And this is where a lot of us get it wrong. Person of higher authority receives the person of lower authority. And when it comes to the exchange of contacts, don't assume that their level needs to deal with you directly unless they so choose. Okay? So that question helps you come across as very polished. So read the room. The business card exchange happens at the end. You give the card in the direction of the text. Confirming information on the card is fine and is expected. And when you give the card and it's given to you, where do you put the card? One must never put a card in a back pocket in front of a person. I also encourage men not to put it in their breast jacket. I encourage that the best place to put their card is where you keep yours. So I typically put people's cards behind, my cards in front, in the same place, because it keeps it all in one place and it keeps me organized. So when I put this in my bag, I go home, I pull out the cards, or sometimes I go to the washroom if I met a lot of people in quick succession, and I try to quickly jot notes at the back in the washroom or in some corner. You never want to write on people's cards in front of them. If they take a pen and write on their card and give it to you, that's fine. But you don't want to be seen doing that in front of the person. I saw a hand. Was it yours? Yes. Please, thank you. Thank you.
I was just quickly gonna ask if the conversation is really ending, and they're not offering you the card or a means of contact, would it be wrong for you to respectfully ask, may I give you my contact to your peer or what?
I think it comes better off when you say, I would really appreciate the opportunity to further this conversation. What's the best way to do it? Some people, I met this author, she's a very big celebrity now, and she said, I check my DMs every day. So Instagram, just Instagram me. I check my DMs. It's better than email, better than WhatsApp, better than what, so some celebrities will tell you, just DM me. And the truth is, some people have people answering their DMs for them because, again, part of why that makes you appear as a polished professional is because you're not assuming that you have ranked importantly in their scale of priorities. Because the truth is, if you're, and I'm not even a celebrity, but I also quickly tire of people every day. Can you mentor me? Every day, you just want to breathe. And so sometimes I say, can you send this email to Empowered Living 24? Because my producer checks that email. It doesn't disrupt my day. And then if there's something that she needs my response on, she'll screenshot the thing and say this. And so people who have speaking requests, people who have mentoring requests, she has the information for the Elevate community. If this is someone asking for mentoring, say Yawa does this thing twice a month, you can join by paying this fee, apply here. So that's not stuff that's eating my time anymore. And so some people have numbers that they give to people they want to be on the periphery of their life. And then they have an email address that they personally check. And so that's why you ask it that way. Don't make assumptions that you are so important. Because yes, to you, you are important. But on their scale of priorities, you may not be that important. And so what is the best way? And if they say, just DM me, that means they're probably not rating you as very important right now. But, that's a way to follow. And part of how you might want to consider before you even get there, if I've come to an event and I've done my homework and I know who you are and I've read your books so for example, the late Colin Powell, when I had the opportunity to meet him, it was part of the receiving line for this event where he was guest of honor. While everybody was trying to say something, I said, your book, such and such book, really transformed my leadership. You wrote in this chapter, this, and this. And I really just want to say thank you for writing the book. And guess who he's trying to shake hands with and stand by in the photo? Because I said something that was actually meaningful. So when you arm yourself with information about who you're meeting, when you're able to give a compliment that is connected to something that they care about, and when you're able to create value or demonstrate value, it's like I met, for example, Terry Savelle Foy in 2021. She's someone where I learned vision boarding. I listened to her messages. So she's a teacher that talks about vision. And I've been following her for years before meeting her for the first time. And I bought a VIP ticket to one of her conferences in Texas. So that year I went, and the VIP ticket gave me an opportunity to meet her backstage. And so in that backstage encounter, I made it count. She shouted me out from the stage when she was speaking, "Where's my friend from Ghana?" I don't even remember what I said to her during the VIP encounter, but I was prepared to say, I followed you since then. One of my mentors encouraged me to read your book. I've not just read your book. I have this book and this book and this book. And these are the changes that have been made in my life. So I just really wanted you to know that you are having wide-ranging effect all the way from Ghana. And I told her that I've been giving to this. She has an initiative for young girls who are in prostitution, and she teaches them and all of that. And I said, I've been giving for the past 3 years to that. Congratulations on that work. And so I wasn't just fangirling. I was showing transformation, demonstrating that I was really someone who was not just a fangirl, but someone who's putting her principles to use. There's no greater compliment to anyone who's in the knowledge space, knowledge industry, as a coach, an author, a speaker, than people who actually are listening. Because some people are listening, but they're listening to put you on a pedestal. But when someone tells you a story of transformation, the other day I was at the studio for my show, and there was a woman being interviewed before my show. And so I said, "Oh, hi." She said, "You don't remember me, do you? I came to your Polished Professional program in 2017. And it was a turning point in my career." And she lifted my mood that day. There are some days you get out of bed, you're just not in the mood. I was just not in the mood that day, but I knew I had to do my show, so I was coming to do it out of duty and whatever. I said, "You do not know how encouraged I am by you today." Because she said, "You taught us that." She wasn't just telling me it was nice. She wasn't just saying, "Oh, it's helped me." She said, "These are the 3 ways it helped me. It helped me with this." I still use the professional photo from that 2017 as my profile photo. And she followed up with a message. This is a link to my bio. And it's true. She showed me the photo. She said, "Yawa, you don't understand. This was my turning point. I was confused. I didn't know what to do." And it just lifted my spirit. So do you see what I'm saying? So that woman, she's got my WhatsApp address. I didn't give her my producer's address. I didn't give her my producer's number. I didn't give her the public line. I gave her my contacts. Because she really proved to me that this was more than just flattery. She had put the stuff to use. So that's really part of what I would encourage you to do before you even ask the question. Because even before you ask the question, they may be asking you, stay in touch with me, take my card. That's what happened at that conference that I went to in Texas. One of her other speakers dashed me a book, put their because what I said mattered. So part of how you don't even have to get to the point of having to beg is by coming prepared. That's why when we talked about entrances, we always wanted to be clear, what's our agenda? I came to that conference with the agenda that when I do meet her, I want to be able to demonstrate through the there were probably 70 of us who bought VIP tickets. So I'm in a long line of people trying to see her, but I was the one out of the 70 that she gave a shout out to on the stage. She had me stand out for the audience. And then it was great for networking because after, oh, wow, tell me more about your network in Ghana. Tell me more about Ghana. Tell me more, right? So part of how you differentiate yourself is also being clear-minded about how to take advantage of these windows that each of us has, but some of us blow. So instead of using the window just to get a nice selfie and then tout on your LinkedIn or your Facebook or your Instagram that I was honored to meet so-and-so today, can you actually foster a real connection? I was at a conference once where a guy said, I really, really appreciated what you said. This was so transformational. Can you autograph my sleeve? He's wearing a nice long sleeve shirt. And he says, no, please autograph my sleeve. And I thought it was odd, but I did it. And he writes me and says, I'm the guy whose sleeve you autographed. So of course I remember him, right? So think of how you can, that was so unique. It was odd, it was funny, but this was a guy who I responded to because it was just so out of character. So each of you needs to be thinking consistently, how do I differentiate myself from the crowd of people who want the attention of the same person that I want attention from? How do I differentiate myself from the hordes of people who are also in the job market or also looking for the same promotion that I'm looking for? Because this stuff, it's the differentiator. How are we doing? So we're at time. When we come tomorrow we're focused on image. Tomorrow is about how do we convey the proper levels of professionalism in how we present ourselves. So tomorrow, I want you to still come professionally dressed. You can have photos each day of this engagement. But tomorrow will be more personal than today. Because just as how I asked all of you to walk out and come in, I want us all to be on the stage and be assessed.